This time I'll call the Budget Committee meeting to order. And just to begin with, I do want to say good morning to everyone and welcome to the first budget workshop for our fiscal year 25-26 Blount County Workshop budget. Today starts the presentations by the county departments of their respective budgets. We'll hear from some departments today, and others will be presenting at our second workshop on Friday, the April 4th. For any departments who are not presenting in person, you will still have a presentation and a budget information in your binders for review. Brian will explain more here in just a few minutes. As always, I just want to say thank you to the tremendous amount of work that our elected officials do, our department heads, our employees, but especially our finance team, especially Brian Baldwin, Kerry Barrett, and Tyler Hurst, who are here in the Horseshoe today. And they've been working nonstop to prepare every department for what I hope is a reasonable and balanced budget to be voted on by the commission. As a reminder, let me say that this is a question and answer session for our budget committee members only. There will be opportunity for public comment at any of our regular budget committee meetings and at our budget committee public hearings, which will be held on June 9th at 5 o'clock. Of course, anyone can ask any question at any time by calling any of us directly about our respective departments. Every year, I hope to have a good attendance by our county commission and county citizens for these workshops. It's a great opportunity to hear about our county departments from our elected officials and our department heads. These workshops, and I've stressed this over the last year more probably than ever, this is a $280+ million budget that we're getting ready to review and possibly adopt. And as with attendance on voting, we really do not, for whatever reason, have that many people that attend these to actually get a better grip of what their local government is. And it is, I guess it is what it is. So anyway, I'm now going to turn it over to Brian for some additional information. Brian?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to real quickly thank the Budget Committee. We all put in a lot of time on this. You all sacrifice a lot of your personal hours toward all the meeting requests we have and the information sharing we do. So just want to thank you for your effort on this whole process. I'd just like to walk us through, if I could, some of our major funds and kind of the financial health of the county as it stands today. If you look at General County Fund 101, our cash balance at the end of last fiscal year was $57 million. 44 of that was unassigned or unrestricted fund balance. So we're sitting on a very healthy fund balance. The remaining between the 44 and the 57 is monies that has been either restricted or encumbered on currently in process projects. But fund balance very healthy in Fund 101. If you look at the trend over the last 3 years, the Fund 101 budget, General County has gone up near 22% from 22 to 25. The largest driver of that being wages, salary and wages increase of 38%. And you can see there that salary and benefits are a large driver, 65% of the total expenses for General County. We'll move to Fund 131. And you can see their cash at the end of last fiscal year was just over 1.4 million. They've made a concerted effort to spend their cash balance down. Their actual fund balance is higher due to money owed to them through state aid projects, but the actual cash is down to 1.4. That has built back up in the last several months as that state aid money has come in. But those monies were spent on additional asphalt and paving, bridge repairs, and a large driver also for highway. I'll go here. The large driver in their 25% increase over the last 3 years was also wages. And you can see a big chunk of their budget is spent on supplies and materials. So that's all that extra asphalt, they've used fund balance, spent that down. So you can see it's a big driver in their budget. School, general purpose school fund 141. They have roughly $12 million in cash. Just under 7 of that is unrestricted fund balance. So that's where they ended last year. They're looking to potentially add to that fund balance through the course of this year. So they'll end with a larger fund balance they're expecting this next year. When you look at their last 3 years trend, they have increased about 33% over the last 3 years. And the largest driver again is the salary and wages increase of 29%. And their largest salary and benefits is their largest expenditure of 76%, and that's the highest of these 3 budgets we're looking at. Very personnel heavy, which makes sense. A quick update on Fund 127, our ARPA funds. I just want to remind you that we've had a large share of ARPA funds. And just give you an update, the Tuckaleechee secondary line to Townsend water source, that is breaking ground here very soon. Everything is in place and they're getting ready to do construction on that. So they'll be starting any day now. The South Blunt Blockhouse water, where they're interconnecting the systems between Knox Chapman, Tuckaleechee, and South Blunt. Those 2 projects from South Blunt are already completed. Knox Chapman, City of Friendsville, Town of Louisville, those are all projects that were coordinated with the state and TDEC. And so those projects have taken a little bit longer, but all those contracts have been awarded and they're getting ready to break ground here very quickly. The other large expenditure in ARPA funds was the Eagleton Sports Complex and high school fields. I hope you've had a chance, and I know several of you have been out there to see the baseball and softball fields. They have been completed. It's still an active construction site in the remaining half of the park. And the other 4 fields that are coming will be completed late summer, early fall here of this year. So that's all continuing to move forward. Quick update on our debt, where we're at with our debt service. This marks the year where we go below $100 million of debt owed. We'll be down to 98 million and change. So kind of a milestone mark. And then you can see we have some debt fall off in fiscal year 29 and 30. That will change the amount due. The payments would then basically cut in half. We continue to maintain a credit rating of AA+ and AA with the credit agencies, and so we're maintaining that, which is a good sign for our financial health. I'd like to point out real quick the value of the penny. What you're seeing here is essentially the allocation of the pennies. And for 2026, we have left the allocation of the pennies the same as 2025, pending further conversations with each of you as we go through this process. But did want to point out the value of the penny this year is the year that the sales ratio applies to our property taxes. And so the value of the penny goes up $8,700 to $671,500. A quick look at what's been happening with our revenue current year to date. If you look at property tax, we're up about 3.5% or $3.5 million. And that is just the natural growth that we've had over last year. Sales tax has been up over 5%. So countywide over $2 million. And I just remind you that property tax, sales tax, this is just the total. This is the total. So it's then split amongst all the schools, all the different penny allocations, but this is just the totals overall. Gas tax is another one that we look at pretty closely, and it is, as you can see, it's completely flat from last year. It's only a $17,000 difference year over year. One of the things that we have built in, as you'll see that when you look at the data in your packets, we have built in a salary increase. We use the Consumer Price Index to determine in this region what inflation, what the cost of goods are doing. And it has trended downward significantly in the last 8 months. It's down to 2.3 right now. And if it continues the trend it's on, by the time we start this next fiscal year, it'll be around 2%. So we built in a 2% cost of living adjustment. And then we built in one step for all staff after that 2% adjustment. So that has been built in here. Those are numbers that we, if we have to, we may have to look at them, but wanted to let you know that's what we built in to get this started. Benefits, we're proposing no increases to any employee contributions in medical or dental. And then operational expenses, utilities, things like that, they've generally been pretty flat across the board. Some decreases, but mostly pretty flat. So those are kind of what we've seen as we've gone through this process. I would just remind you that in your binder, it's the exact same that we've done in the prior years. So should be no surprises. If you need anything or have any questions, please feel free to just let us know. We're happy to provide any more information. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Right. If you'll look, also, we have the budget workshop schedules for today. Then we'll have the next workshop schedule. If you need that, if you can call, I told that that's not in this one, but the next workshop schedule, if you need that, if you can contact my office, we'll get that to you. First up, she's the one kicking it off, Gay Hasty.
Good morning. I'll just get started by saying thank you, Budget Committee, for the time that you spend serving the county in this capacity. Every spring you give up 2 days of your time, and that's not to mention the monthly meetings and the briefings that you have to attend and all of those things. But we really do appreciate that. And also I wanted to say thank you to this group for honoring my mid-year request for an additional employee. And I know that was a risk when I made that request, but I do appreciate you all honoring that. And I can tell you that the county has already reaped the benefits of our department having this additional employee. And because she brings the bilingual contribution to the county, and it has been amazing. She has been amazing. Their community has recognized the fact that we have, kind of gone an additional mile to accommodate their needs. And, I had two ladies in my office last week, and just to set up a passport appointment, I brought them in. They were intimidated by having to go online to do that. And the young lady had brought an interpreter with her, an older lady. And through the course of the conversation and explaining to them, what all she was going to have to need to process the passport application and everything, as they were getting ready to leave, I told the lady that if she could not attend the appointment in May, that we now had an interpreter on staff. And her face just beamed, and she said, "Thank you so much for doing that and for helping our community in that way." And she said that is so, so important to them to know that we are trying to help them out. And I thought about that after she left, and I thought, this is a community that our county needs, because they bring so many services in that, it's hard for us to find people to do certain jobs, and they are willing to work and do whatever, but they also bring a lot of revenues into our county, so it's not just about those things, but they are bringing revenue into our county. But enough about that. I get to do this too. Okay, what we do, vehicle titling and registrations. This past year, we completed over 212,000 vehicle registrations and title work. It's been somewhat overwhelming, the number of people that are moving in, and then just the day-to-day dealer work that has been taking place. It'll be interesting to see how the upcoming tariffs and things on vehicles, if it even affects our community or not. We do marriage license, beer permits, applications for notary public, applications and photos for passports. We are teetering right on 4,000 now. We had a surprise audit 2 weeks ago, passed with flying colors. And they informed us later that our error rating was 0.04%, which is one of the highest in the nation. So very, very few mistakes that are made on the passport applications that we send in to the government. We collect hotel motel taxes. I serve as the clerk for the county legislative body. So we prepare the agenda, process the minutes, gather the signatures on resolutions after they're finalized. And then sometimes we have to interact with the state officials and get certain documents into their hands so that those processes can be completed. 24, 25 accomplishments, clean audits, not only with the state comptroller, but with the Department of Revenue License Plate Division. First ever license plate audit was done back last spring. It was quite overwhelming. They didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know what to expect. And we have over 15,000 license plates in our inventory on a daily basis. So we pretty much had to help guide them through the process too and understand the reporting system. And so it was an interesting process that we went through. We now have a full-time bilingual front counter clerk. She has been amazing. The transition has been very easy for her. She worked at the DMV before she came to our office. So she was used to those large crowds of people, being busy. The software program that she was accustomed to is very similar to the one that we use as far as the data entry side of things. So it has just been a great transition for all of us. All of our clerks now have been promoted to the counter clerk 2 status through cross-training and meeting other job qualifications. 25, 26 goals. We just want to continue to serve our customers with the utmost respect, care, and compassion. That sounds simple, but that is not always simple with certain situations. But we will continue to strive to serve the best that we can. We want to continue to have clean audits in all areas. And one of the things that I do want to be able to do a little bit more this year is to continue to explore new staff training and education opportunities. This is a difficult process for our department because we are so busy all the time, and having 3 locations, trying to bring all of those people together and work out a schedule for us to serve the public and then do these training sessions with our people makes it very challenging. So we are going to have to try to figure out some new ways to do that. That is all of my presentation. It's going to be short and sweet. Have no additional requests for this year. The one that was pressing, you all approved back in February. And like I said, we were so appreciative of that. And we would just strive to continue on and meet the needs of our county and our customers. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Gay? Thank you, Gay. I hope you've set a precedence here. This is the way the rest of them go. Thank you very much.
Schedule.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Gay. Thank you for all that your office does. Next up is our Register of Deeds, Miss Phyllis Lee Crisp.
I too want to thank you guys for your willingness to serve, to come out these 2 days and listen to our requests, listen to what we do, and what you do all year. And I know you don't get any thanks for that or whatever, but if these 2 days we can thank you for what you're coming out and doing, thank you, and you are appreciated. I also, Carrie and Brian, they are phenomenal to work with. I've never went down to their office that they've not made me come away with the knowledge that I need in the things that I need to do or the request or whatever, but they do a phenomenal job. And I know Carrie's had a lot on her plate, and I just want to say thank you to them, Mayor. You've got a great staff. That's,
Thank you.
So with all that said, what we do, how we serve Blount County. We do a lot. It's kind of, and what we do is rewarding. Most of the time when people come into our office, they're happy because they've recorded their deed, they've bought property, they've either got to get a loan, pay that loan off, getting their property split up and maybe given to their children, but we record and preserve those instruments required. We record deeds, power of attorneys, deeds of trust, liens, contracts, plats, leases, judgments, court orders, military discharges, UCCs, and other types of documents. It is required for us to keep like the military records under lock and key so that people just can't come in and view those military discharges, because there is the information on there that their social security numbers and stuff. So we've got those locked up that people can't just go back and have access to. We assist walk-in customers, the phone, emails, and we answer any questions to a point that what we can without stepping over the line and giving legal advice. And we try, if they come into our office and they don't really need to be at our office, they probably need to be at probate, or they need to be over at Todd's office or something. We lead them in the right direction. We will tell them where to go or whatever. If they're really confused or whatever, we try to take them down to the mayor's office or over to Todd's office to get them, instead of where they're just passed off from one office to the next. Okay. Accomplishments. Switching our servers over to our IT department was a huge accomplishment. And I want to give kudos to Justin on that. He worked well with our vendor to get those servers switched over. If we have a national disaster, we will be backed up on the county system. We will be able to resume work within a designated area with other county offices. And as y'all know, some of the upper East Tennessee counties with the floods and stuff like that, they just wasn't equipped. They just didn't have things in place to go if, because of their disaster. But with working with Justin and all that, we'll be set to have a place to go to if we have a disaster. We have been diligent in making customers aware of the free service provided by our vendor progress called My Land Alert. And you can only imagine, and Nick, you know, with real estate, people's afraid that people's going to steal their property. And they're doing every other scam that they can. And we have everybody coming in and inquiring about their property. We tell them to go in, sign up for this free service. And if you've not, you need to. It's My Land Alert. And the way that works, if something does go on with your property, if you pay your property off, you're going to get an alert that something had happened with your property. And so you're going to call us and say, hey, something, you know, my name popped up. So we're going to look and we're going to tell you, okay, this is what it was. It was a release. Or it could have been a different name, a different initial, but you're still going to get notified. So when we call, you call in, we're going to say, no, it wasn't actually you. This was Phyllis J. Crisp or whatever, not Phyllis Lee. So anyway, we know the program works. We've had people call us and say, hey, great, you know, and it's free. It's free to our community. Let's see. So that we're asking everybody to sign up for that. Goals for 25-26 are to continue the excellent customer service that our customers deserve and expect. We will continue to assist in protecting one of our customers' most valued possessions from fraud and illegal recordings. It is our goal to continue to update technology that will better serve our landowners. Kind of see the trend there. Thank you. And just want to say we try to do good deeds every day.
All righty.
Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Phyllis?
I was gonna say that My Land Alert, I'm signed up on that, and someone with my same name around the first of the year had sold some property, and I got an alert. I called up there and spoke with someone in your office, and my property was fine, but it did work. It worked like it was supposed to.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I do want to say, and now that I'm glad Gay stayed here, I have an opportunity, and I've had an opportunity for the last 15 years to watch how you do business and how you do business. And the people of this county should be very, very proud of both of your offices. You all are two very conservative. You, the bang that people get for their tax dollars is absolutely the best it can be with your two offices. You both are very conservative. In anything you do, I've listened to your comments. It's you always want to know, how is this going to affect the citizens? How is this going to affect the citizens? And your both of your offices are very, very customer friendly. People, and believe me, I watch. I see the crowds that you deal with every day, and the sometimes it's not always the best environment for them. But I think after they've been to your office, that they feel better about what their government is, and you give people a feeling of comfort by being in both of your offices. And I want to tell you, I know you don't hear that very often, but both of you have just been absolutely amazing in how you just very, very conservatively run your offices, but yet you're the best in the state. I mean, there's no doubt both of your offices aren't the best in the state. And you do that with probably some of the most conservative values and more ideas about how you're benefiting the citizens than most people ever give you credit for. And I just want to say thank you for both of you and how you run your offices and what you do every day for this county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for those kind words. And I think I can speak for Gay too. We love what we do. We love, serving our community. We love just what we can do for our employees and it's just a win-win situation that, it takes this whole village to make us be able to run our offices efficiently, and we're blessed to be able to get the funding that we need to make it work. If we were having to stress over not having enough money to pay this or pay that. So again, thank you guys.
Thank you. Next up, Circuit Court Clerk.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a beautiful East Tennessee day, huh?
Yeah,
Man, it's nice.
normally the first elected, when the elected official comes up for their first, they bring donuts or something like, so I just wanted to give you.
So I failed at my first
yeah, well,
officials meeting and my
We'll
first.
see how this
and my
works
first
out,
budget
Chris.
meeting. Well, I did bring you all some pens if that'll.
Okay, thank you. All right, that'll work. That'll work.
I want to echo Phyllis and Gay. I really enjoyed this process and the work that you all put into serving on this committee. 10, 11 years ago, when I had my first budget presentation from the sheriff's office and the sheriff tasking each of the deputy chiefs with talking about their own function, the first year had a lot of nerves, but the more I got to know the people that I was getting to work with every day, it became so easy just to come up and be able to talk about the things that those people were doing and be able to brag on them. And that's what I want to start out doing this morning. Mayor, I really appreciate you and the guidance you've given me in this position. The budget committee, I appreciate everything that you all do. I've had to call on Brian and Carrie several times. They've been wonderful. Not had to deal with Tyler yet. But I've known Tyler since he was a kid, and you just can't find a better boy than him. He's a great young man and a great family. So that was I don't know what kind of job he's done, but he's an excellent young man.
He wouldn't be sitting in this horseshoe if he wasn't doing it.
That's kind of what I figured. Jacqueline and Faye have helped me so much. Misty, Carmen, Don, Lindsay, Denny, his guys. I see Justin and Paul and Chris quite a bit in our office, and they're just all been a big help, and I appreciate everybody's hospitality. My staff that I want to kind of start off talking about, Tamara Walker, the chief of staff, has been amazing with me. She's been a wonderful handler, pointing me in the right direction, telling me where I need to be, what I'm supposed to do. Betty McKenzie, our operations director. Jennifer Bells, our office coordinator. Paula Woodruff, chief financial officer. Robert Simmerly, our juvenile court clerk director. Carla Griffith is supervisor over cost collections. Donna Hughes, circuit court. Lisa Bryant handles the civil division. And I'll talk a little more about the civil division in a minute and a lot of things that they're dealing with and an uptick in the demand that's put on them. And Diane Kelso, general sessions. And as I was writing this stuff down, I saw so much experience and so many years of service. And I started thinking, my gosh, what am I going to do when they decide it's time to go home? I'm ready to relax. So we actually talked about that a few weeks ago to start working on our succession plan and who's the leaders within, who can you find and who can you build up and who can you train to get them ready for the next step when a supervisor position opens up, because when one of them goes, when I go, there's still a job that's got to be done and somebody's got to be ready to step in. So we have 48 employees in our office. We got 6 separate offices. The circuit court handles all the lawsuits over $25,000, child support, felony criminal cases, grand jury, and then the evidence destruction. General sessions courts, everything under 25,000, misdemeanor and traffic violations, and they also handle orders of protection, and that's also part of the civil that does order protection, wage garnishments, levies, civil warrants, lot of doctor bill collecting, credit card collecting. Everybody stays hopping, but they are always on the move and going. And the accounting that balances all the departments, we've got investment accounts right now totaling around $1.9 million. Cost collections, they handle primarily the collection of all costs and fines. And something I didn't know till I came into office was the reduction bill that they're able to do. So if someone owes $1,000 and they're able to pay, and it's got to be a case that's over 5 years old, if they're able to pay all of that off, we can give them a reduction on that cost up to 50%. We hover around a lot around the 40 to 45%. So, getting $600 is better than getting none dollars. So they've done real well, and they also are able to help. So far, about 1,000 people will be able to get their driver's licenses back. And I'm going to talk a little more towards the end about a goal of ours that we've got as far as with helping people get their driving privileges back. And we send out about 350 jury summonses every 2 weeks. We have to send them out whether, even if that jury comes off, we've already got those summonses out. And there's a lot of people that I didn't know I was friends with until they got a jury summons. And I got a phone call. So I told them, I don't think people really care who the circuit court clerk is until they get a jury summons. And I'm not going to go over each of those there. You can see our 2024, since 2024 July, the filings we've handled in our office. Juvenile, if you hear a different number from Judge Foster, she tracks kind of calendar year, I believe, and we track through the fiscal year. So if you see a different number, there's no, one's not wrong. So I just wanted to let you know that. We've collected currently about $3.4 million in fines and costs this year, and we feel pretty good with the number that we'll probably collect around $5 million for the year. Employees are encouraged to continue training through CTAS and other avenues to help them, whether it be with leadership or just programs that are specific to their duty. We want to initiate that program that I was talking about, kind of a restore your license type program where, we could take maybe an afternoon or a weekend day and advertise to people. If you don't have your driving privileges and it's costs or fines or something that's holding you back, where they could come in, meet with us one-on-one, and we can show them, here's what you've got to do to be able to get your driving privileges back. If people are paying their fines and their costs, obviously that's helping the county, but it's also helping them to where they can, I understand when I was on patrol, there were people that I knew who were suspended that I would see out 6:30 in the morning, but I knew they were going to work, and I left those people alone. Now, if you're out on the weekend or you're out at night, that's a different story. But people need to be able to get to work, and they need to be able to drive. So that's something that we're really committed to doing if we can find a way to be able to make it work. There's the budget trends, and that's all my presentation. But there's one thing that I do. Brian and I have talked briefly about this, just something for you all to be aware of, and that's going to potentially occur in this budget year. In April of 2026, the trial is scheduled currently for the murderer of Deputy Greg McCowan. So that is probably going to require, I would imagine, a sequestered jury, potentially a sequestered jury from another county to bring in here, or It may be all of us loading up and going to another county. So we're looking at transportation costs, lodging, 3 meals a day. I will have employees who will be working overtime. I know the sheriff's office will have deputies who will be working overtime for security purposes. And sequestered juries require 24-hour service, and there's no way we can get around that. So there was no way I could predict or forecast what I thought that could potentially cost. And, I talked to Brian, he through the idea of maybe potentially setting up a separate cost center just for that. I know there's going to be things as it gets closer that we're all going to need to sit down and talk about and figure out how we're going to pay the bills. Because I believe the last number I heard from the Sullivan County jury that was sequestered for the lady who killed her, I believe it was her daughter. It was around 80-something thousand. And I foresee this trial, this jury picking to last quite a while. So I wanted you all to have a heads up of that and know that that's something that's going to be coming.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Chris?
I usually don't need that. I really don't have any questions, but I do have a couple of comments and some thank yous. I really enjoyed what you presented about the Restore Your License program, and I think may have a couple of ideas to help make sure that runs more seamlessly. And I really appreciate the heads up about the trial that's coming. That's kind of slipped off our radar a little bit, and so it'll be helpful to know that that's coming as we review all of the other things. And I also appreciate the fact that I still see you all over that building.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you're not just the circuit court clerk, you're still doing some other things to help out the whole government. And so I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I know I mentioned some employees specifically by name, and I had heard for a long time being in the same building how great the circuit court clerk's office was and how great the employees were. And I worked hand in hand with a lot of them in my previous duties and responsibilities, but man, they are amazing. They are some wonderful people who've been very open to me. I was the outsider coming in, and they've embraced me, and they are good. And I'm very thankful for each one of them, how they've just helped me along. It's been a learning experience, but it's been a fun experience. Something I hope I get to keep doing for a long time.
Right. Any other questions? Chris, what you find out, and what every elected official, that's what makes us look good is our employees and the people we have around us.
Yes, sir.
We have the very best of the best, I think, and everything that we get done, and although we're the elected official and it's probably the ones that's in the spotlight, the real job gets done by the employees, and it's good that you acknowledge that, because if you it's like the turtle on the fence post, none of us got here by ourselves, and none of us stay here by ourselves. It's all by the employees and them lifting us up and making our departments look like they do, which are the very best of the best. But you didn't mention the fact that you're not asking for any increase in your budget. So
No
I just wanted to
increase
make
in the
sure
budget.
that went on record, that you presented a balanced budget here. So thank you, Chris. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Can I approach Mr. Mayor? Give everybody a pen.
Sure.
I was on the phone the other day. Diane Kelso, I had a lady on speaker, Diane Kelso was there, and she saw, I had no idea what the answer was. And it would have been pretty easy for her to let me sit there and look stupid.
Yeah.
She didn't. I mean, she jumped right in and was able to help me. That's just the way all of them been. So
Yeah. That's,
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Next up, the Animal Center, Director Ron Crow.
All right. Mayor, Commissioner, staff, good morning. I guess I just clicked the
Yes.
center. of
Push.
it. Am I missing here? Okay, let's see it there. That's it. Good morning, Ron Crow with the Animal Center. Gonna sound a little congested. My Claritin hasn't kicked in yet. I'm finding out how East Tennessee springs are with my allergies and I'm not liking it. So we'll get through this though. So we'll start off right away. So looks like I might have one backwards there. Okay, so we'll start with this one. So what we do and how we serve Blount County. So, they provide shelter, warmth, daily care, veterinary service, food, water, everything, 365 days a year, including holidays, weekends, and during inclement weather. So we have staff on schedule 7 days a week and a minimum of 8 hours a day. And so that takes care of our morning feeding and afternoon feeding. We ensure daily that there's hands-on care, enrichment, and visual health checks for every animal. So we do have the working agreement with the Smoky Mountain, the Friends. Now the Friends, so they provide veterinary services and vet techs, and we have those scheduled Monday through Sunday. So somebody is eyes on with every animal every day, including staff. And then on an average day, we serve over 200 meals, clean more than 100 kennels. Right now, we're at full capacity, so we're cleaning about 200 kennels a day. They complete 10 commercial-sized wash loads and then wash hundreds of food and water dishes every day. And a lot of that is our volunteers once again. And then vetting, we partner with the Friends of BCAC to provide full-time vet and staff. We conduct hands-on assessments for every animal upon intake. So every animal receives a weight, a blood check, heartworm check, receives vaccinations, and DPAPs, which is something to protect the population in the center as animals are coming in. So we're not introducing any disease or any unknown illness from an animal that's unfamiliar to us. They provide spay and neuter services to every animal going out, that is ours, medical examinations, vaccinations, health certs for interstate travel. Anything out of the state, we have to provide health certs, and our vet works with the state to contact the local representative if they're going to Georgia or Kentucky on a transport or wherever to make sure the health certs and the requirements are met for that jurisdiction. Then we perform humane euthanasia when necessary. And this is a service that we provide to the community as well. So humane euthanasia is rather costly at your local vet. So we've done it at cost at the center for those that are in need at that moment. So they don't have to worry about scrounging up $250 or something. They can come into the center, spend some time with the animal, and then receive the animal back after the service is provided at no cost to them. And that's something that we partner with Friends with as well. And then we operate as a licensed veterinary facility under Tennessee state law. There's only 3 in Eastern Tennessee. So it's us, Young Williams, and it's up in the Tri-Cities area. There's another licensed veterinarian that's full-time up there. So we're one of the rare animal centers that actually has full-time staff in place. This would be the second page of it. So we also provide animal control services for all of the unincorporated Blount County area and with the city of Louisville and Townsend. Townsend takes care of their own initially. They house on site at the police department, and then we're responsible for going and transporting back and forth for them. So we assist in that way. They take the calls for service with their police department, and then we just assist with the actual care of the animal if they're needing. And then we receive and respond to about 10 calls, 5 to 10 calls a day for our 2 animal control officers. They patrol our problem areas, looking for strays, looking for feral cat colonies, and putting those people into contact with individuals that can help control that population to kind of better that community around there. They're very damaging in areas of feral cat colonies. They're very damaging getting under trailers and ripping out insulation, water lines, things like that. So we've been working a lot on trying to get those numbers down over the last about a year. And I believe we go into that here in a little bit. So we have 2 animal control officers. They provide on-call service as well after their shift. And that's 24/7, 365. And then they serve as a standard in the industry and collaborate with other animal care and control agencies whenever possible. We are the only chemical captured registered agency in this area. So we've got certificate number 1 and certificate number 2 for our officers. And that was the previous director located that in the system. Actually, I don't see him in here, but Mr. Radford discovered in state law that we're supposed to be certified to do chemical capture. Everybody's kind of running around there doing it on their own. So he started the process right before I took over, got that ball rolling, and we've maintained that standard since. And we've actually been requested to other jurisdictions to help with chemical capture as a result. And then we also do intake here. So operate as an open administration animal center. We accept any strays that are found within Blount County, unincorporated, and any owner surrenders as long as space allows. Recently, space is not allowed that, so we're putting them on a wait list. And we have a list of services. So if it's food they're needing, we provide food. We have a contract, or not a contract, a agreement with Amazon. We receive monthly donations, several tons of food every month from them, just returns, things like that at the main center here. And we're a community food bank now for people that need assistance with food for their animals. We work with PPAWS to get reduced rate medical care. Because another great organization in the area, we work with them to get reduced rate animal care. And then we have some personal trainers, or animal behavior trainers, I should say, in the center that now go out and assist with behavioral problems. If you can't keep your dog because it's digging under a fence, or if it's getting a little nippy, instead of just resorting to turning it over to the shelter, we're actually sending resources to the house to help and keep it in place, which is assisting our numbers. And then we process about 2,000 annually. So right now we're right on track with that. This first quarter of the year, we're right on track. We're about to hit kitten season, so we'll see our boom. So April, May is kitten season. We'll go up in our numbers pretty substantially. We'll run anywhere from, currently we have 50 cats in the building, 55 cats. We'll get up to about 200 cats in the building by the end of April. And it's just that little peak, and then it'll die off about June, July with adoptions and everybody picking up the kittens as they become ready. And then we're open to the public 250 plus days a year. So we're closed Sunday and Monday. Sunday is a half day. Staff goes in, does a morning feeding, cleans, afternoon feeding, cleans, and then they're out of there. Then Monday, we leave the building closed, and that's when we do our deep cleans before we open to the public on Tuesday. So we do our deep clean, make the building smell better. If you've ever been in the center, you'll notice when you walk in, it doesn't smell like a typical animal center. It smells fresh, it smells clean, everything's organized, and we work really hard on that at the beginning of every week to make sure that's forward facing to the public. So volunteers, like I mentioned, we have about 200 volunteers on the books, and about 45 of those are active volunteers. Those are ones that are in the building at least once a week for a 2-hour stretch. Combined last year, and I'm talking last fiscal year, so fiscal year 2024, we had 20,000 hours, just a little over 20,000 hours volunteer donated hours in the building. And that's anything from walking dogs, cleaning kennels, doing laundry, preparing food, even administrative help up front. We rely heavily on volunteers to answer phones and direct incoming traffic for surrenders. And then they also provide community involvement opportunities for students. With Tennessee Promise, we have a strong working relationship with several of the schools, get the hours that are needed for these students to achieve that Tennessee Promise or Tennessee Hope hours. And then we offer community service hours and McGee Tyson Air National Guard. They come in there. They're the ones that maintain all our gravel and the pins out back. They're required to give, I think, 4 hours a airman per session that they're here. So they bring over a group of 15, clean up our property, remove tree stumps, help us out with gravel. Great group of people every time they come over. We've worked with Clayton Homes, like I said, Amazon. We do a monthly adoption event at Amazon now. And every time we've gone, we've adopted a dog out, at least one, if not 2 or 3. And in return, they've started giving us those returns to the stores, public donations for the food pantry. And then local colleges, high schools, and all our state agencies. So, and then we community support and partnership. We provide a pet community food bank, which I've already mentioned on there. There is a couple other contributors to that food bank. Quarterly, we get a Second Harvest donation. That's from right down the road here. We bring over about a pallet to 2 pallets of food. And then weekly, Walmart sends us probably 20 to 30 bags of food, which helps maintain that supply in between these large drops. And so we're working on that, and we've actually got an agreement now with Rural King and Tractor Supply. So we're kind of reaching out and seeing who is in the position to help, and instead of these items going to waste, they can go to members of the community that are in need at that moment for whatever reason. Then we have the Friends in the building. So the Friends of the Blount County Animal Center, they raise funds that support daily operations and veterinary operations, medications, including covering the salary of our on-site veterinarian. They collaborate with outside rescues. There are coordinators when it comes to that with our nonprofits and cat snip. So monthly we offer a cat snip to the community free of charge, and we spay and neuter approximately 50 cats for the community every month free of charge. And then they pledge financial support for the future building expansion, and they're continuing to raise money for that. And then 24-25 fiscal year accomplishments. So our adoptions and returning to owners, returning to field if we find out a property owner or anybody that has them. So we adopted out roughly 1,700 animals out of 2,000 that came in. And then we expanded our spay neuter services. And that's what I was talking about the monthly feral population. Earlier, we've partnered with Deb, a local trapper. She traps them. We bring them in and we start spaying, neuter these feral cats. That way they can slow the population growth out in the field. And it seems to be helping in some of our problem areas as we're working with UT to document it and see how this comes out. And then manage approximately 6,500 calls into the center lobby. And that's with our office manager at the front there. And then generally we have the one volunteer up front that handled these calls plus the walk-ins. We improved our community relations. The sound berm, I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go out there and look at it. Originally, it was going to be about 5 to 6 foot tall. It's about 12 foot tall, and it runs, I'd say 200 yards or so, 150 yards down the closest neighborhood's property line. And it provides that deflection of the barking from the kennels up and over. And we've received nothing but positive feedback on that. We haven't received any more complaints from the ones on, there's Fox Street and King Street. We used to have several complaints coming in from the community. Since the berm's gone in, no complaints. And we've actually taken a trip back there and parked during feeding time, and it's definitely dampened the noise. So that was well worth it. And thank you, Brian, for coming up with the dirt on that one. I know that was a process, but it got done. So, and then we maintain our fiscal responsibility. We stay within our budget as we do every year. And then this year is no exception to that. We're operating slightly under pledged funds on both budgets. So under the county budget and under the 512 MOU from the Friends of Blount County Animal Center, we're operating well within those limits. And then we've enhanced our visitor experience. We've refreshed the lobby with new paint. That was done off donations and self-help. That was all volunteers and staff coming in on their time off, bringing in paint rollers and decluttering, organizing the front, building a couple of storage areas and things like that. So it's a more welcoming space when you come in, and it's actually got clear direction when you enter where you should be going. And then we invested in training and development, partnered with local trainers to provide education to staff and volunteers. So not only are they providing services to the community by going directly to the homes for problem animals, they're actually teaching our volunteers how to interact properly with these dogs, because every opportunity or every time they take a dog out of that kennel, it's a training opportunity. And we've noticed that dogs are more behaved. They're not pulling as hard. They're not jumping. So we're seeing the rewards of proper training. We've implemented inventory control. It's an ongoing project to streamline and improve our inventory management. Right now, we're running it off our current software of Animals First. We found some limitations on that, but we're working within those limitations to know what we have on the property, what medications, foods, things like that we have on the property. And then upgrading heating in large kennel areas for animal comfort. We got the roof on about 3 months ago, and we got the heater put in. So it was a preheater for the system in the back. Kennels were staying 40, 45 degrees at night. Now they're staying 60 plus degrees at night for the dogs. So that preheater and that new system with the increased blowing capacity has definitely been well worth it. So dogs are a little more comfortable back there. And we're falling now within those state guidelines of 50 degrees at night or greater. So we were having a hard time. We were running kerosene heaters or individual propane heaters, trying to warm up the back until that was completed. And then we launched an intake diversion program. I talked about that earlier. That's the assistance to the public with food, medical, and behavior. And okay, so for 25-26 fiscal year, we would like to expand and modernize our facility. Like I mentioned, we're at capacity right now. We have 56 dogs in the back in a 50 kennel facility, and we have 52 dogs up front, and 52 cats up front, and we're suited for 30. So we're overpopulation on both, and we just find pairs that work well together, and we pair them or we send them out to our foster network with the volunteers. They're still property of Blount County, and they still receive the services, the vetting care and everything. They just might not be on site at the time. So we're going to be looking at that with an effort through the Friends. They're doing their fundraisers. Public donations have been coming in. We have the donation line item that's been reflecting that. And then we'll be asking Blount County, that way we can address the need for an updated infrastructure in a larger building to bring our capacity up approximately 50%. And then property fencing. Currently right now, there is no property fencing on the animal center exterior. So whenever the large dog walkers are out there, if a dog breaks free, it runs into the neighborhoods. And we're running a risk of, a dog getting out, running into a neighborhood and biting a child because every kid's in that area is running up to him. We did have an older gentleman get bit in the hand when he was trying to catch one of the dogs for us. And that's what prompted the request for a fence. In the future here, it's just containing those animals when they do break free from our care. There are animals, if they break free and they get into a neighborhood and they were to bite, sometimes we have quarantine dogs that are brought in for bites. We have a responsibility to the public to make sure we're properly securing those. And then we'd like to reduce the length of stay. And that's part of that intake diversion and our adoption events that we're pushing out. So right now our length of stay is 40+ days. We're hoping to get it down to about 30 days. And then increase adoption events and promote spay and neuter awareness. We've been doing both of those with those monthly clinics. And then staff and volunteer training. The state of Tennessee does not require kennel staff to have advanced training, but we've implemented a 8-hour minimum every year training requirement for our staff, and we found free resources to accomplish that. So that's at no cost for the county, but it has increased our awareness of, our fomite transmission, any viruses, things like that in the center. And then maintain licensing and compliance as we have been, and that's our vetting standards. So budget trend for the department. Last year, you see the increase last year. That was the request for the food and services line item being transferred over. The Friends, as of last year, were no longer carrying a portion of that food. So we increased the budget, I want to say by 52,000, I believe, correct, or somewhere in that range. That was that spike last year. Oh. So we have 2 additional requests. First additional request is going to be for an office assistant, and that's going to total $41,262. That's going to be an office assistant and a volunteer coordinator to better utilize the resources that we have on site. So with the 20,000 hours of volunteers, we had a lot of overlap or gaps in service, and we feel a dedicated individual to look at these schedules and work within the means of the volunteers would be a benefit to the facility, and in return, increase those volunteer hours. And they would also be responsible for coordinating local events, things like that out in the public adoption events at Amazon. And that would also serve as a backup to our office manager, who, like I mentioned, sits alone up front with one volunteer. If she's out on vacation, I actually leave my duties and I'll go up front and I'll maintain that for a week while she's out on vacation. And then I go back into my duties. And so we're looking to get some help up front there. But our current line item, it doesn't cover this, so we'd be asking for that 41,000 increase. And I'm running short on time, so. Second item would be a $4,000 increase. And this is the line item 5451. It's our uniform line item. And that's under an operating expense. It's going to be for slip resistant shoes, uniform shirts, wintertime jackets. Like I mentioned, they're outside walking the dogs. and then uniforms for our animal control officers. Currently, the budget allows me to purchase 2 shirts for our uniform animal control officers. And it allows me to buy about half the shoes for paid staff in the building. We've worked at other ways and we've gotten them shoes and we've gotten them shirts, but we'd like to see a dedicated line item to properly uniform and provide the safety shoes and jackets for the staff on property. So that would go up from 1,500 currently up to 4,000. Then capital planning, we don't have a dollar amount for this. This would be the expansion. We've recently swapped over from Sparkman over to Peter Metz at AEI, and we're still waiting on conceptual plans. So we don't have a figure or a ballpark at this moment. We're going to be working with Don Stallions over in general services as soon as that comes in. But it's been spurred over the years, obviously, by the overcrowding in the center, compassion fatigue on the staff and volunteers. They're getting overwhelmed with the high volume care required in such a confined area, the noise, just the design of the building inside. There's several improvements that could be worked on other than just space. And that includes our vetting area, getting them a little more modernized. Right now, they're operating in a room that's 8 by 10. And there's generally 2 vets in. We take in externs from UT Veterinary. So they're back to back in those rooms, operating and providing services. So we're seeing a declining volunteer availability. Once again, why we're asking for a volunteer coordinator. With more people returning to work, fewer able to volunteer, and new volunteers, orientations, attendance has dropped. And we've never seen a higher demand on the current volume base than we do now. And that's leading to burnout. And we're working on, appreciation and time off and better schedules with them. So the vision and solution for it, the expansion plan is designed to support projected intake growth for the next 10 to 15 years while incorporating flexible features to allow future expansion with minimal structural changes. If you're familiar with the property, the old Boys and Girls Club behind the Animal Center is the direction we're wanting to push out right now. And then it'd be a modern facility designed to improve the animal flow and care. It would put dogs strictly on one side, cats on the other, and vetting in the center. Currently, right now, dogs go right through the cats and get everybody riled up as they're going to vetting. And so we're back and forth in the lobby there with animals. And that serves a problem for intake. If somebody's bringing in a stray, we don't know the temperament, and we're walking animals to vetting, and we have to go right through the lobby and right past the cats and then back. And we've had a couple of incidents documented in the building about bites and things like that in the center. So volunteer staff recruitment, well-organized, modern facility. It's going to be a little more inviting. It's going to be a little more enticing to volunteers as well, making it easier to attract and retain our volunteers and our staff overall. And then operational efficiency, it's going to be better space planning to improve the workflow, reduce physical strain on the staff and volunteers, set up the kitchens a little better for food delivery and the laundry services for cleaning services. And then the long-term benefits, sustainability, the expansion will prevent the need for frequent renovations. Right now, like I mentioned, we had the heat renovation, we had the roof renovation. We've repainted and kind of reorganized and repurposed several rooms over the last 18 months to accommodate growth. So we've lost certain storage rooms and adoption rooms, repurpose those for cats and things. So it would give us a nice foundation to work forward with. And then a volunteer engagement, a functional welcoming space that will encourage more just overall community involvement and give us a place to house trainings and events. Right now, we use the operations center across the street at the highway department, as we can't fit it in our building. And that would be it. Any questions on any of that?
Anyone have any questions for Director Crowe? Okay, Ron, thank you. One of the things and I know one of the most emotional things I think that we can deal with as a government is the animal center. I mean, it just is. It does create a lot of emotion in people, and the fact that we don't get a lot of that feedback or a lot of the that on our plate is of course directed towards your all's ability and how efficient and how good a job y'all do out there. I also like to point out that a lot of areas, a lot of the counties in the state of Tennessee, when they want to figure out how to put together a successful animal center, they visit our animal center to see how we do it, to try to develop their own animal center in their communities. So you do, I mean, you all are the model. You're the model across the state. It's and how you function and what what the services you all provide for this county. I know it goes unnoticed a lot because out of sight, out of mind, and things like that. But we're recognized, and you all are you're recognized as is kind of like the project. If you want to go see how to start your animal center, start a project like this in your community, go see how Blount County does it. So that's a lot to be said. Also, when we're talking about expansion, that facility was built, we built that in 2010, 2011. We're 15 years later, and the county has grown considerably in population. And as people come, so do animals, and calls for services on our animals. And to keep up with the growing population, the addition, the expansion is probably it's gonna have to happen. What's nice about it is the relationship we have with the Friends of the Animal Center is they're raising money to offset the cost of this considerably, to offset the cost of this. So if we're going to continue to be what we feel like is the best service for animal control and animals at an animal center in what we consider to be the premier county, to do that, we're gonna have to do some expansion, and there's gonna have to be some things that we have to do to meet the needs of the community as it grows. So that's something that this committee will be faced with this coming year. So just be ready for that. But thank you for everything you all do, and thank you for all the people that actually volunteer. The volunteers are that really offsets a lot of our cost out there.
That is an amazing
the
group.
participation on our volunteers. So thank you for all the work you all do, and thank your people for all the work they do for this county and our animal control and our animal centers. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, and I'll make sure to relay that to them. Thank you.
Next up, Chancery Court, Clerk and Master.
Good morning. I am Steve Ogle here on behalf of the Clerk and Master's Office, which consists of me and 7 employees. For those of you not familiar with our office, we're a small record-keeping office for the court system, where all the divorces and other domestic cases are filed, where all the probate cases are filed when somebody passes away and their estate needs to be administered. We are also the office that collects delinquent taxes for the county. The easy part about my presentation is we have submitted just a status quo budget this year. Basically, our budget this year is the same as we requested last year. There's a slide that goes through the functions of our office and the various courts that we serve. That will show you the revenue that we've brought in. While we only had 19 parcels at last year's tax sale, we brought in $1.5 million, and 913 were turned in. So, most of them were paid before the tax sale, which is always good. That reflects our new cases that have been filed so far. And of course, cases generate revenue for the county as well, filing fees and litigation taxes. There's a graph showing our budget trend. And I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
Anybody have any questions for Stephen? Stephen, thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time and your service. Have a good weekend.
Next up, Recovery Court, Amy Gallion.
Good morning. How is everyone this morning? Judge Harrington wanted me to offer her condolences of not being able to be here this morning. She has a civil docket, so she was unable to get away to be here, but I'm fortunate to have my office manager with me, Miss Deanna Reed, as I think most of you know her well. What we do at Recovery Court, we are a treatment-based alternative to incarceration. We work with individuals in our community who are nonviolent felony offenders to offer them a roadmap to getting back into our community and living their lives as productive members of our society. That takes a lot of hard work by a lot of different individuals in our office. We have a passion for what we do, and we feel like we are making a difference in the community in which we live. Recovery courts across the nation and the state have been recognized as working alternatives to the substance abuse epidemic. And we hope to continue providing a superb standard here in Blount County. We are a certified recovery court with the state. We attend trainings to make sure that we keep our certification accurate and improving. Oh, let me go back here. Accomplishments. In this fiscal year, we have so far graduated 29 individuals as of July 1. And between now and June 30th, we are on track to complete 14 more. We're very proud of the fact that our aftercare class is our largest. We are getting people in the program and keeping them and sustaining them through the entire length of the program, which is designed as a minimum of 2 years. Most of our participants probably take closer to 3 to 3.5. We don't try to rush them. We want to make sure that they're getting all the services that they need and that when they graduate our program, they're ready for the next chapter in their lives. We work closely with Maryville College elite interns. This is I think we're on our 4th intern with Maryville College. We're having a lot of success with that. It's nice having the college in our community send interns into our office to work with us. Our current intern, he is on his 2nd semester with us and is doing a lot, not just for our program, but with the participants. He takes a vested interest in working with them and learning and being able to develop his career set as well as offer a service in our office. We have been able to hire a 3rd treatment specialist with the assistance of the commission. We were able to access the use of the opioid grant funds. That has been very good. We do a contracted position with Helen Ross McNabb, and that is going well. We're seeing a lot of success with having that 3rd treatment specialist in our office. We're in the process of getting our cameras and the security updated in our building. Just to offer, honestly, for us, it's more of a confidentiality thing for our clients. We have an open door policy with our graduate and former participants, but also we have people in the community that are welcomed in to meet with us. But by having the updated security to where, there is a stop at the front door, it allows those individuals that are in our program to have the confidentiality and security that not just anybody can walk in and see who's there or what they're doing. And so we're excited about getting that process completed. Goals for 25-26. First and foremost, continue doing what we're doing. We want to identify new community partners. We have, over the years, continually increased our community involvement and in effect, increased the productivity of our program. When the community gets involved with what you're doing, you see a lot more success and partnerships. And so we are constantly looking to identify community partners that can assist us, especially right now, some of our biggest needs is with affordable housing, so that people have somewhere to transition to once they complete placements. One of the things that I'm sure you all hear plenty about, the housing cost. Well, in our program, we kind of got in a spot to where our participants get stuck in the initial housing part, where they're in a placement and they're in housing and they get stuck there longer than what they need to be there because there's nowhere for them to move to. So we continue to work to identify different community partners who we can work with so that there's a next step, whether that be individuals that own apartment complexes or whatever that are willing to work with us as a program and rent to those individuals that we're servicing. So that's one of our big goals and big barriers that we're working on in 25, 26. We also want to increase the number of individuals that we are serving. While our in-house numbers are doing well as far as people come into our program, they remain in our program throughout the program as it's designed, the referrals have lessened. And so we have already had an initial meeting with the public defender, the DA's office, and the judges to identify, why the referrals are not coming in as much. There's a lot of different things that the DA's office has identified that we're working on to increase. In a way, it's kind of a good thing in the fact that Blount County has more resources for individuals who are incarcerated. Community Corrections has their DRC program, and Helen Ross McNabb has a lot of other services. So while we want to continue to get our numbers up, and I feel quite confident that will continue to happen, it's good to know that there's other resources in Blount County that are also working to serve the same individuals that we are, because you can never have too many resources. We do have planned to host a conference amongst our team, our existing team members. We try to do this yearly or every other year, where we look at our policy and procedure, look at the current trends that we're looking at, and what do we need to do to update our policy to be more relevant and more current, because we're always looking at how that can change. We want to continue to explore innovative treatment models. That again is also ever changing with the current drug trends, what different types of treatment models work better. And so we're constantly looking to try to improve that. And of course, just to continue to provide a transparent program. And any time that I come to the commission or any group that we go to speak to, transparency is very important. I like to people to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and take in suggestions as to how people think maybe we can do it better and look at those. We do serve a high-risk, high-need individuals. And so in doing that, we feel like we want to make sure we are safely doing that in a way to put them back into our community. Additional requests, the only additional requests that we have on our budget this year, we have a data clerk position that we have fortunately made some good hiring decisions in that position. There's a lot of tasks that are being done in that position that go well beyond that of a data clerk. And so we would like to transition that data clerk position. It's the same person, the same individual, but we would like to change that position from a data clerk position to an administrative assistant position, because that's effectively the job they're doing. They've taken on administrative responsibilities within the office. They are getting trained on being a technician for our on-site analyzer, which is a huge task. We do a lot of drug testing. Currently, myself and Deanna were the only two that were able to do that, because the other technicians that we had left and we had hired new staff. So the individual in the data clerk position had an interest in it, had more time to actually dedicate to that with that position. And so willingly took on the position of getting trained in that. So that's an additional position that she's taken on, as well as just able to help out with treatment and case managers with technical support. That would be an additional request of $2,418. We have looked through our budget, which even though we have a very tight budget with the use of the opioid grant funds that we were given, we've identified at least $1,500 that we could pull from our instructional supplies to go toward that, if that could be approved through the budget committee and the commission. And this is our graph, which, basically, we feel like we have tried to maintain a very consistent budget with what we do. We are very thrifty, and I say we loosely because as an office manager, Deanna is amazing at being able to turn a a lot of money, a little bit of money, and to go a long way. She is very, very thrifty and cost efficient and is real good at helping us find some good deals. So we manage that. I do have 2 documents that I presented to you all last year that I just feel like are neat documents to kind of give you a glimpse at what we're doing. Deanna manages these 2 documents for me. She's my numbers girl, so she enjoys doing this, but it just kind of shows you how many we have how many we're admitting on a monthly basis. And then we break it down. This is how we're graduating. This is what our discharges are, our withdrawals and our deaths. You know, and unfortunately, we have to have the deaths column in there. You know, in the epidemic that we deal with, we are seeing that. I feel like it's a little more on the rise every year, and it's difficult to have to deal with that and see that. But overdoses happen; they happen in our program, and that is one of the things that we also have to look at. And then this document basically is just showing you, I mean, we still have individuals, we still have 5 individuals in our program that started in 2021. So that's kind of what that highlighted column is, to just show you where the people in our program are at, you know, how many are still active and what the total number percentage is once they complete. And of course, from year to year, that's up and down. But, you know, I feel like we are statistically remaining very consistent in what we're doing, and feel like we're offering a service in the county that continues to be valid and relevant. Questions?
Alrighty. Does anyone have any questions for Amy? Go for it.
Hi, Amy.
Hey.
A couple of questions I really like the data that you're presenting. You know, it helps us to show and to see how things are going. But I have, my first question is, you know, when you talked about you wanted to increase the number of participants coming into the program, what's your thoughts about how that's going to take place since they come by referral from the DA?
So that's why we're working with the judges and the public defender and the DA's office, because that's really something that comes from the court system. You know, we get our referrals directly from the court. So one of the things that the DA has identified, several things. One, the sentencing guidelines that have come through probation. Apparently probation has had some different sentencing guidelines and what violates what constitutes a probation for felony probation. So when the violations from probation are going down, because most of the people that we get in our program, they've been on state probation and we're getting them by way of a violation. So they're looking at the sentencing guidelines, who is coming in on violation, maybe who's not getting violated and coming through violations that are still reoffending and it's not coming through the court system. They're also looking at talking to the bar, making sure that there's a lot of new attorneys right now, which is one of the big things that they've identified as maybe some of the gaps, that there's a lot of new attorneys that maybe don't know what the resources are or who aren't taking the time to find out the resources. So they are wanting to go to the Bar Association. We've spoke to the Bar Association a couple of times, but that's only the people that show up for the meeting, right? We don't really have the access to meet with everyone. So they're looking at finding ways that with the partnership of the public defender and the DA's office, that they can reach out to all the new attorneys that are coming in to make sure that they're aware of our program, and address the issues in those ways. But both Judge Harrington, myself, General Desmond, Matthew Elrod, and Matt Garner, we've all initially met and are planning another meeting to come back together to look at some other ways that we can make this happen, because without their support and the support of the attorneys, that's really where our referrals come from.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
My second question is, I can't really tell, but what percentage roughly of your budget or your income revenue is grant-based?
We have, I can tell you the exact match. So we have the opioid grants that we just have gotten. And from the opioid grants, we're looking at 159,600 will come from the opioid. That's our contract with Helen Ross McNabb, and it covers like a lot of our treatment supplies, which is why we were able to, our training and stuff for anything treatment. And then we get our state grant, which I think it's 104, as our state grant that we get from Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services is 104,000.
Have we lost any money yet? Any grant money been cut?
I mean, they have not done, we used to get the ARP grant. They did away with that statewide. There's no one in the state that gets that grant anymore. That was one that we had.
$10,000.
Yeah, it was a $10,000 grant that this last year was our first year of not receiving that, but no one received it. They did away with those fundings. But as far as that, we've not lost any because we weren't meeting standards. Our state grant this year, it has continued to go up. I do suspect that probably what happened last year will happen again this year. Usually at the end of the year, they have funds that haven't been used. And they approach us if we need anything extra. It's a one-time thing that they do at the end of every year. For us, it's the balance of when they get us the information to tell us they have it so that we have enough time to get it to the commission to get approved to accept it.
Yeah, well, my concern was with the federal funding,
With the what?
federal funding.
Oh, yeah. All of our funding, I think some of it probably is federal fund, but it's funneled through the state.
And my last one, the last one, it went out of my head because I didn't write that one down. But as I was looking at the stats that Deanna had put up, and I'm aware of one of the overdose deaths that took place just a week or so ago. Does Recovery Court have a mechanism, or do you even try to continue information or data once they graduate from your program to help measure the success of the program long-term?
So this is a conversation we have at our coordinators conference every year. How do you effectively follow people once they're no longer in your program? There's not one in place that I'm aware of. Once people complete our program, you have all different cases. You have some people that complete, they're still on probation, and so they're still monitored through the probation system. Those are easy to maintain because they're still involved with the judicial system. But so many of our participants, once they complete our program, they also complete their probation. And so from there, you have people that move away from here that, are no longer supervised through a court system or a judicial system. And so unless they're coming back to us or they're staying in touch with us, which a lot of them are, but a lot of them that are staying in touch with us are the ones that are doing well. But that's not always the case. We had an individual come in yesterday, him and his wife and his little girl that graduated in 2023. We hadn't seen since he graduated, doing remarkable, but no longer on paper. So if he hadn't come in, we would have had no way to track that to know. So it is something we always talk about at coordinators statewide. They would like a system to be able to track that. But once someone is no longer judicially involved and on paper, it's just hard. You can't mandate tracking of that person. So it makes it a little bit difficult to follow that.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yeah, we're going to. All right. Thank you all very much. Amy, see you. Oh, good. Thank you. Want to introduce, this is Mark Shelton. He's the new director of probation. And those of you, I know a lot of you already know Mark, but just welcome to the budget committee, Mark.
Thank you.
We're gonna see how you do here.
Okay, well, I brought my muscle behind me here, so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate this time. So I've watched some of the YouTube, so I'm gonna try and follow my predecessor just for a second here. What we do is supervise individuals who've been convicted of misdemeanors and also been ordered to pretrial release. And some of the pretrial releases include felony charges also. The individuals that we have are either on a 11 months and 29 days sentence or a 6-month sentence for probation. And we also offer a 24-week batterers intervention program. And in there, men who've been convicted of a domestic charge are ordered by the judges to complete this program. Upon completion of that, then that's one of the conditions of their probation. We also oversee a DUI school. We have that once every other month on a Saturday. We have a total of 30 persons max we can have in each of that. In the Knox County, they teach that for the DUI school, and we split the proceeds with them. We also manage a community service program. The judges will order individuals to complete community service work. And this year, when I reviewed it up to March, we had about 1,200 plus hours that they had completed last year. Some are ordered under a probation order, and some just have to do straight community service by themselves. We use the animal shelter, CARM, and Goodwill in the county for them to do that. And then they have to report those hours back to us upon completion of those. We also have a GPS monitoring system that's run through Pronto Track, who we contract with. And that has become quite arduous task as far as the numbers that have come through because of the new laws for domestic charges. We average about 13 to 15 persons per week. Some are on for a few days, some are on for a week, and others could be on up to months to a year for that GPS monitoring. Pronto Track collects the funds for that. We simply monitor the individuals of where they're put, and they are given zones for which they can and cannot enter. Let's change this. I've completed that. Also with the Batterers Intervention Program we have been, and I'm one of the teachers of that, instructors. And with that, we have been recognized numerous times downstate. Tina Fox is the director with the coalition there and seems to always point out Blount County when they have their annual meeting down there, for which will be the second week of May. So you should be very, very proud of the persons who teach at Brad Roberts and Megan Brewer, the other two. Superb. When they come to our recertification, which is coming up this May, she will always make sure to note that for East Tennessee's Blount County is the premier batterers intervention program for the entire state. And that's just, I'm not bragging on them. That's just the absolute truth. Some of the results out of there are fantastic. I think on the slide we have up there, we have 40 individuals who are currently enrolled and are in pending mode. We can only have 16 persons in that class at one time. In that 24-week period, if they miss a class, they have to make that class up. So it's to their best interest to not, because they'll have to wait till the future class comes around and make just that specific date for which they've missed to complete that program. Our goals this coming up year, one of the things that we are there, it's just a matter of implementing. For probation, we only collect cashier's check and money orders at this time for safety purposes, no cash on hand. And it's been a common question that's come up quite often lately. Do we take credit cards? Well, until lately, we have been able to talk with Pronto Track, who has that program available in the system that we use now. They are going to implement that now. And if everything goes well within the next month or so, we will now be able to accept credit cards, which will be fantastic because in my youthful age that I am now, I've talked to some of the younger persons and you talk about cash. Some don't even carry cash in their pocket. All they know is credit or a piece of plastic. So it will be very advantageous and convenient. And I think that our revenues, well, I know they will improve and increase because of the ability to use those credit cards now. It'll be an automatic download. I'll have the receipts before midnight. So, and it still keeps the integrity and the safety of the office without any cash whatsoever on hand. Other than that, training opportunities are fairly limited in the probation field, but we do have the conference yearly, and I also have other avenues that I'm looking at. that may entail a week of training or just a daily training for our persons. But I can guarantee you that your persons in the probation office are the most professional persons. And as far as their ability to be compassionate but stern, you have premier persons in those positions. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Mark on probation? That's good.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Next up is elections. I'd like to introduce you to Bo Click.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate the opportunity. The election office. How do we serve Blount County? Well, we serve Blount County by executing the elections here in the county, which is now we're hovering around 100,000 registered voters. Things are growing. Recruiting, training, and poll workers for the elections, administering the candidate petition process, which is going to be fun come next May, verifying the balloting for each election, GIS coordination because of the challenge with the different boundary lines that could intersect within Blount County, which is a little different than other counties, promote the overall election process and ensure that all the current laws pertaining to that election are upheld. Our accomplishments basically through the last election cycle, we had a couple of successful execution of a couple of elections. The presidential election, which always presents its unique challenges, but always good through August and November. And the last one on that list is performing state mandated voting machine tabulation audits for the August and November election. Basically, what we had to do was rescan some random ballot records that were already scanned during the voting process. And I can tell you that in August and November, we scanned just short of 10,000 or rescanned just short of 10,000 ballot records with, I say, it's no statistical deviation. We had one deviate, it was one off. And I can point you back to the exact time that happened when somebody's feeding the machine too quick. So basically, in my mind, it matched up completely. And that was that's the first for the state mandated audits. And that was a great, a very good accomplishment for us. Our goals, successful county primary. We got one election coming up in the next fiscal year. That's May 26th. And we've got challenges to navigate. We've got additional precincts and polling places. We've got additional poll worker needs. We're going to have additional voting machine needs. We've got to replace obsolete poll pads, which are basically iPads that they go out of date. Aren't security updated every 6 years or so. And we've got to locate and implement additional space needed for preparation of the staging of our voting machines and election supplies. Hey, our offices, I love where we are. But we have gotten to the point where we can't stage and we can't prepare machines. We can't get ready for the next election. We've just grown. We can't stage and prepare for it. And we've got to figure out how to do that as we get rolling here for the next one. The changes or updates. Again, there's one election. In fiscal years, there's one election and two elections. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride for us budget wise. And what I'm trying to do is update the elections, our budget to kind of reflect some of the dynamic changes that we've had, again, things are changing. I think you'll see that as I move forward. Additional requests. The first additional request is really $16,000 for election supplies specific to each election. Well, what are those things? The main thing is now that we have to have the ballot record paper, what you scan into the machine that tabulates your vote. Since that was, we're working on that, but basically to give you an idea, since it's a sole source provider at the time, when we've done that through this first election cycle, literally once you took the price of the paper that we were charged and the shipping, you put all that together and you came up with 29 cents a page, we're working on that. There's got to be another way. But those types of things. The other emergency ballots, we have to have emergency ballots that are printed in case there are something emergent or something happens and machines do go down and they're down for a length of time or a polling place goes down. You have to have those kind of backups. External accessories that go bad on the machine, you'd have to have a little, a supply of those things from power cords, bricks, daisy chains, and backup batteries for your unit. So those types of accessories that you've got to keep track with. And that's what those, that's what that amounts to. Additional request of $35,000 for voting machine maintenance. That's something that happens every 4 years, unless there's a need earlier. The vendor, the manufacturer comes in. Basically, we will upgrade all roughly 300 of our voting machines. That'll happen this during the summer months. But that'll include upgrades and updates to the hardware, the firmware, the software that's going on, all those kind of things for all 300 of those machines. That's something that is done. Again, that happens every 4 years after each presidential election, unless there's some need before then. The other things that will be updated in that brings that cost up. That's the most of the cost there is the upgrades and updates to the actual machines. The other things to think of it as think of it as, it's not the same, but think of it as a thumb drive that goes in each voting machine that contains the ballots and puts in the balloting and the ability to print and tabulate the votes. Those are replaced every 4 years also. That's something that needs to be done for security reasons and for things like that will go bad over the course of times. And the other thing is called, there are keys to machines. You don't have a key to each machine, but think of it as each machine, again, has a thumb. Think of a second thumb drive in your picture in your mind. And we've got about a dozen of those that will unlock each machine and allow them to be ballots to be records to be placed on there, all that different information to go on it. If I had the thumb drive for just the ballot information and the voting information, I can't update it unless I've got keys to the machine. So all that comes together. And again, every 4 years, that's what we get to deal with. I have an additional request for capital. And I don't want to, maybe I should have worded this a little bit better. Security windows at the customer area and maybe I just should say more security for our windows at our customer area. If you go down to our area, we have old aluminum style windows. They don't lock. They don't have the ability to lock or what have you. I don't want to paint the picture that we need some kind of huge security, bulletproof glass, all those kind of things. That's not the point. Is my point more is I hate walking into a doctor's office and they've got the windows slid and nobody's paying attention and you can't, you have to get somebody's attention or knock on the window. And I don't like the idea of a place you talk through and sliding under a tray either, because we have a lot of people that come here from other places, and this is the easiest place that they can go. Let's say the least frustrating place you can go and get the ball rolling for moving all your information from another state to Blount County. And I really like the idea of that we are less frustrating. It's a friendly place. Welcome to Blount County, because we get a lot of that, people walking up and doing that. So, but the point of this whole thing, is, excuse me, as we go, like, for example, more to the point is that we have a lot of, within that office area, we have personal protected information that we have to store. There's a maintenance door that you have to get into our lobby area. It has to have access because the sprinkler system is located down there, controls the sprinkler system. There's electrical panels down there, and IT's got some servers down there. We've not had a problem. Not trying to tell you we got a problem, but it would probably be wise to be able to lock those doors or lock those windows in case someone had to access after hours, something happened and it was left open or something like that. So it's more of an issue of, I think, protecting personal information, because we've got a lot of that down there. So that's that. The budget trends, as you will see right there, a lot of that big jump is more the upgrading or updating of the voting machines to the recommended paper trail ballot records that we had to have. So that's the big jump there, the updating the machines. There's one, within that, there's one point that's, I don't have a slide for, but you do need to be aware of, because we came to you with the resolution to go to the voting centers, and that was turned down. So we're going to have additional machines. We've got to have additional voting machines. We're going to have additional precincts that we're going to have to do that. And that total that, there are many variables that are going into that right now. So let me give you an idea. That total that we gave to you was probably something around $325,000 was what we've estimated that to be for the upgrades that we're going to have to do, or the additional machines. And I'm not ready right now, that because of there are many variables in place to do that. Number one, we're going to have to redraw precincts. We're going to do that. We're not going to leave that to somebody else. Again, we talked about the complications of the ballot styles because of the boundary issues that we've got, a different number of school boards to different number, school districts to county commission districts, state representative line going through. So we don't want to we're going to do it ourselves, because we're not going to make it more complicated. And again, it has a big bearing on what the final cost will be. So we know what we're doing. We're going to do it. We're not going to leave that to somebody else. Things like the legislation that's out there right now, the executive order that just came down regarding elections, just to give you an idea, we don't think there's any issues with that. However, there is a part of that talks about voting machines. And if you'll, and talks about voting machines and barcodes and QR codes. Well, we do have a QR code and a barcode on it. It's for identifying the ballot record, and not, so a duplicate ballot couldn't get scanned. But yet, is that going to mean that all barcodes are going to have to go away? Is that going to mean additional upgrades from our manufacturer? Those kind of things. So that's just to give you an example. State legislation that's out there is, for example, there's a piece of legislation out there that says that we would be required to go to the Justice Center and set up a polling place in the Justice Center at some point for some period of a day. Well, that's dedicated machines, that's staff, that's those types of things. Again, whether that happens or not, I don't think so, but those things that are hanging out there that we don't know. Our obsolete polling pads, we're looking at other options for that. In other words, instead of going with the iPads, is there a way that we can, which we think there is there a way that we can use laptops to connected to our database, which will then give us the same, effectively use that and have it in a cost-effective manner? We don't know. We've still got to look at that. All of that leads to how many additional voting machines are we going to need? How many additional poll workers are we going to need? All those different things. So it's a kind of a cascading effect that we're just getting a grip on. But again, that number, I will be back at some point, because that number's going to be around that. Again, our estimate was around that $300,000 figure or whatnot, but there are other variables in place. So that may be a rambling. I hope you followed that. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer those things.
Anyone have any questions for Mo? All right, Mo, thank you very
Hey,
much.
thank you all
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you. Next up, juvenile court.
Good morning. Hope y'all are doing okay. Okay, so here we go. So we are a fairly large staff, and we have an open position from our newly created grant-funded Safe Baby Court Coordinator. So we're interviewing for that position, hope to extend an offer by Monday and have that position filled very shortly. Downstairs in juvenile court, we house all these people, including our DCS court liaisons. DCS has 2 people that act as liaisons between us and the department, so they're downstairs as well. And the assistant DA and public defender share an office. This is what we do. I know you all can read. Any questions about that? Okay. This is also what we do, a lot of stuff. And we had about 4,500 new cases last year. Some of our accomplishments this year is We applied for and received an opioid abatement council grant to fund an adolescent intensive outpatient program in Blount County. And so the first cohort of young people entered that treatment in September of 2024, and we are rocking and rolling and filling it up. We have started a collaboration with Maryville College, and so we are working with their Department of Psychology. We are providing supervised visitation. They had senior students who are adults go through a program to become supervisors for visitation for children who are in care of relative caregivers or in foster care, to provide some extra time for these children to be able to have visits with their parents. We were selected as a safe baby court, which you all know, and that we are continuing our National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges implementation site program, and we are on track to become a national model court. We had a lot of trials last year, as you can see, and we've reduced the number of children in foster care by 14%. In the calendar year 2024, there are now currently 108 children in foster care out of Blount County, which is still a huge amount of children in foster care, but it is significantly less. When I took office, I think it was something like 324. So continues to trend downward. Our goals for the coming year are to get our Safe Baby Court fully staffed and up to its capacity of 20 families. We're going to continue to work on our court college collaboration. We're going to continue on our track to become a model court, and we continue to do the work that we do. Our budget trend for our department, the increase you see is the $100,000 grant for funding the Safe Baby Court Coordinator position and a salary supplement to the Juvenile Court Services Director, who will oversee that employee. That's it. Questions?
Anyone have any questions for? Yes, Sharon.
Hi, Judge.
Hi, Ms. Hannum. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for
Good.
asking. I'm asking everyone the same question who has grants incoming.
Yes.
Do you have any reason to believe, or any of them federally funded, or are they all state funded?
They're state funded grants.
Okay. And no portion of that, thank you, God. So that is a concern. So.
Of
yeah,
course it is.
Yeah, that was my only question.
I mean, I think so, right? They're all state funded grants. Yes. Okay. Just, yeah. Thank you. Anything else?
Any other questions? Judge, thank you very much.
Thank you. Whoops, I went too far. I'll stop. I won't touch it.
Next up, Mercy Management, Lance.
Good afternoon, everybody.
You bringing Stephen with you? All right.
Here for support. Yes, sir. First of all, we want to thank you and for allowing us to do this job, these jobs. It's an incredible honor to serve the community in this way, and we really love it.
Thank you all.
So who are we? We are Blount County Emergency Management, and what we do is we serve as a resource for our first responders, for law enforcement, fire and rescue, for all three school systems, for Alcoa and Maryville utilities. We also work with Blount County Community Action Agency, and we work closely with the National Weather Service. That's just one of the few of the things we do. We also, as far as, let's see, our accomplishments, we've been very busy this year. We our long-term disaster recovery team. That's something that we've been working on for 3 years now, 3 to 4 years. We got the plan built, and we've also got our debris management and monitoring firms contracted. So if, God forbid, we have a situation where a Helene comes to our county, we're not going to have to wait 3 to 6 months to get debris management and monitoring firms as they're having to do in Cott County. We're going to be able to go as soon as the president signs the declaration, we can start clearing debris from people's property. So we're really proud of that. Our backup 911 facility, that's something that Stephen and Wayne and Brooks and Jimmy Long worked on we've had it for about 3 years now, 2 to 3 years now, and we've almost got it all built out. We were also able to use a Homeland Security grant this year to add new workstations, and it went from 4 workstations to 6. It really makes a difference because if we have a situation like we had in 2015, where we had a train derailment near the 911 center, they really should have evacuated, but they couldn't. Now they can do that. We can run everything as far as communications for 911 downstairs, right below veterans. So we also have plans to move the emergency management offices down to that area. It'll be more of a headquarters, and so we'll be able to run everything all together. So we're really excited about that, and that's going to come in the next couple of months. And then, of course, our damage assessment team, we're very, very proud of them. Mary, a lot of what we do, there's just 2 people that are paid in our department, but we've got so many volunteers for different teams. And the biggest one is our damage assessment team. We've been going since 2016. Of course, we did the wildfires in Sevier County in 2016 and in 2022. We sent teams there. We've also done the May 27th of 2017 storm that hit Springbrook and Patterson Road. We did the damage assessment for that, as well as the February 29th of 19, the ground saturation flooding that hit all of Blount County. We did damage assessment for that. Most recently, we were called by Cott County. The Cott County mayor called Mayor Mitchell and asked him to send the damage assessment team to Cott County after Helene struck there. I don't know if you remember, but we came very, very close to being the victim of that hurricane, because somewhere between Atlanta and Chattanooga, a low pressure system came down and knocked that about 250 miles to the east, and it went up the east side of the Smokies and then hit Cott County and Unicoi County and Greene County. Regardless, we were requested to go. We were requested to go, and we sent about 17 people 4 times on October 3rd and 4th and November 12th and 13th to do damage assessment, first for residential properties and then for the commercial properties in November. We looked at 180 homes, 140 of them were destroyed. So that's, it was an awful thing to see, but the work that we did led to them getting a declaration. So we're really thankful for that. So we're very proud of our damage assessment team. Our storm spotter team, there's about 10 people on that team. They like to think of themselves as storm chasers, and we beg them not to actually chase storms, but like in Twister, but they do give us live real-time information when the storm systems come across the county. And of course, our warming center team, I can't say enough about the warming center team. Phil Hoffman with John 316 Outreach Ministries really coordinates that now. We're more of a support mechanism for him. We keep in touch with National Weather Service and let him know when it's going to be 25 degrees or colder. And he's got a team, I think we've got about 75 people from 9 different churches. I think Shannon, you're part of that. And so it's really cool to see that. We were open a record 30 times this year. And it was all a volunteer effort. And so Phil Hoffman's done a really good job of leading that, and we're glad to be part of it for sure. As far as our most recent volunteer team, this is something that came about last January. The mayor and I went to a meeting at the chamber. There were concerns about Blount County Community Action Agency. They were concerned about having emergency food drivers and basically having communications with their drivers. And so Steve and I worked with them to basically, we set them up with a ReadyUp license to send text messages to all their regular drivers plus their emergency drivers. We also committed to, whenever we open up the Emergency Operations Center, Stephen sends out a Google Sheet that the dispatcher creates, and they list all the different streets that are closed because of downed trees, power lines, flooding. And so then we send that to the highway department, we send that to the utilities, and it's a living document, and they're working on that at the same time, dispatching their own people. When we decided to share that with the Community Action Agency director, she's going to be able to know what roads are closed so that, her clients that are on those roads, they can find ways to get to them. But the big thing that she also needed was just manpower, volunteers. And so she didn't know who would want to volunteer to go out in the middle of snowstorms and whatnot to deliver Meals on Wheels, hot Meals on Wheels and groceries. So we reached out to the Bronco Owners Association. We didn't know it, but the Bronco Owners Association, the biggest gathering of Bronco owners in the country, is in Townsend in April of every year. We reached out to them, and I talked to the director or the president, and within about 2 hours, we had 28 people from Morristown to Chattanooga that volunteered to sign up for this, to deliver food, hot meals and groceries in Blount County in inclement weather. So it's really cool. Again, we have a lot of teams and volunteer teams. We're really proud of that as well. And finally, as far as our grants, we have the Emergency Management Performance Grant that funds our office. We have the hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant that funds our hazmat drill in September. And then we have the state Homeland Security grant that basically funds equipment for fire and law enforcement. Here lately, it's been more law enforcement the last few years because they're focusing on terrorism prevention. But regardless, in 9 years, we've been blessed to get $997,521.01 in funds for those grants. So we're about $2,500 away from the $1 million mark. So we're really proud of that. Our Homeland Security grants, our hazard mitigation grants, we just 10 days ago got a $903,000 grant contract, executed contract for Alcoa City for for 2 generators for their water plant. They built that plant, I want to say about 12 years ago, but didn't include generator power. And so they got a backup power, but the May 27th and 17th storm that came through Alcoa actually knocked out both sources of power, and they were 12 hours away from running out of water but they were able to get that reconnected. Now, because of this grant, they're going to have generator power. So that's one of the grants. And then we're awaiting a contract extension on a $120,000 grant for a Caldwell Road flood mitigation. Whenever it rains really hard, it gets up to 6 feet deep and on that road and gets into property. And so we're excited that we're going to be able to get that done too. Hopefully in the next month or so, they'll get started on that project. So we're looking at right now $1,033,000 in hazard mitigation funds that we've been able to get. So we're really proud of that as well. And then goals. We want to continue to build out our long-term disaster recovery team and recruit new members. We want to continue to work with the food distribution team. And then we're going to have our full-scale hazmat drill in September. And then we've got we're basically awaiting purchases for those hazard mitigation grants. So the purchases for the generators at Alcoa and of course the work to be completed on Caldwell Road. And then we've got another hazard mitigation grant application for $381,945 to purchase 3 trailer-mounted generators, 250-kilowatt generators. And that's basically, we would have that on hand here. We would store it and maintain it ourselves. And then when something happens, if a storm comes through, one of our critical infrastructures is knocked out of power, we can pull that up and have them up and going pretty quickly. Okay, as far as our budget trend, we had a kind of a dip. The blue line is the capital expenditure for our county vehicle. We got a grant for that. But so that's really the only capital expense. And then we had a decrease in a couple of grants. We had the Homeland Security and EMPG grant decreased. But then the increased part of that's attributed to we had the most expensive hazmat drill we've done was this year with the drill over in Alcoa. That was around $16,000. There's basically whenever we submit for reimbursement, a lot of times we'll submit for reimbursement in October, but then it'll be several months later, maybe 2 or 3 quarters later before that money gets actually to us. So that's how that looks out. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Lance? Well, behind the scenes, and I know a lot of people have no idea what happens sometimes with emergency management, but I know during the flooding up there, your disaster assessment team, the mayor up there and the emergency management director up there really appreciate it. You're all being able to just pick the phone up and make that as a disaster assessment team. You can't even actually start going after any of the money for the people that have been victims of that terrible flood or the hurricane itself, and until you get all the pieces in place where you can fly. The fact that we stand ready and are able to get a team up there, get 2 or 3 teams up there, makes a big difference in how they can start getting some funding to help them dig out of the disaster. That I think, and I'll speak on behalf of Chief Kaler down there, the training exercises that we all do every year and we've done for years are absolutely invaluable for our emergency services, and and being able to take some funding and set up the alternative to the 911 center downstairs. These We hope we never have to use these.
Correct. Yeah.
And we hope none of this ever has to be used, but when it does, we're going to be very, very thankful that we have all of these things in place that really go unnoticed. Most people have no idea what's all going on behind the curtain, but I appreciate the job that you and Stephen do. Thank you all very much for keeping this county prepared and for us to be a resource for a lot of the other counties too. So thank you all very much for that.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Next up, judges.
Y'all care to pass this one, and Judge Gallegos is on his way, as well as our judicial assistants. We can, if we wouldn't care, we could go to the judicial commissioners.
Which one do you want?
Judicial commissioner.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
First of all, this is Eric Hinkle. He is the director of the our judicial commissioners, also known as magistrates. It's an office that's open 24/7, 365 days of the year. They are the gatekeeper as far as the criminal justice system. If an officer or an individual comes and thinks a crime has been committed, either in the officer's presence, or it had been reported to them, or an individual's presence, Eric and his team decides whether there is probable cause to issue either a warrant, criminal summons, or a citation. Further, they also determine whether or not if there's been a victim of domestic violence, whether an order of protection should issue. They also do the inputting of all the traffic citations, right? Any traffic citation that's presented, they do the data entry, create files, process everything, and then that all goes down to the clerk's office. The way the office is set up, we have 3 full-time employees. Eric here is the, for lack of a better, day shift. We have an afternoon or evening in the graveyard. They work Monday through Friday. What's it, 8 to 4:30, and then the afternoon person comes on at 4 and works till 12:30, and then the evening person comes on at midnight and works to 8:30, and that's Monday through Friday. Okay, well, we're still open on the weekends and holidays, and what we do is we rely on part-time folks that are part-time employees, and they work a 12-hour shift on either on Saturday and Sunday and holidays, either 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And that's not a very glamorous job. It's kind of hard, you go out and ask, would you like to be a part-time employee and work a 12-hour shift, and your shift is going to be always on a Saturday, Sunday, or a holiday? It's we have difficulty filling that. That's one of the biggest problem that we have, I would guess. Wouldn't you say, Eric? Those are the accomplishments. I think that's probably, those numbers are pretty good. My guess is they're probably a little bit low. Because it does, well, as far as the criminal case, it doesn't include the number of citations that they have entered into, and or they create. The numbers just keep going up. The more people that move here from out of state, they're not all the folks you want to be your neighbor. A lot of them are, they just show up and they continue to do the bad things they did wherever they were. So the numbers just keep increasing. Our goals are to continue doing what we're required to do by statute and what we do for Blount County. Additional requests. Now this this is a bit, it's not exactly the way it seems there. What we're asking to do is we have a pool, when we try to keep a pool of what, 6 to 8 part-time employees, because, you know, these employees have lives, they have something going on weekends and that kind of thing. We ask them to fill in the shift. We're asking to be able to put more employees in the pool. We're not asking to double up or anything like that, because one employee works each shift. So you have to understand that even if we could have 100 part-time employees in the pool, but only one person is going to work that 12-hour shift on the weekend or holidays. And we're just needing more bodies. Since we're down to what, 3? We're down to 3 part-time employees that cover, 4 12-hour shifts on the weekends. And then, you know, whatever, how many holidays we have, 11, 12 holiday days during the year. So we just need more bodies. We're not going to add them to the payroll, because we're only going to have one that works per shift. So it doesn't matter if we have 100, if we have 200, or there's only going to be one person there. There's only going to be one person paid, and we just need more people to be able to, can you work this shift? And that's all we're asking. We're not asking for any. It costs no more money. We're just needing permission to go out and try to build our pool of employees up. And if we don't, I'm afraid we're going to run off the ones that we have, because we call on them too much. So it's a negative. It's no impact one way or the other as far as money. We're just trying to get a bigger pool of people. You can see that our budget trend is, our capital is 0. The operation expenses are relatively flat, as is the salary and benefits. So, does anybody have a question?
Anyone have any questions for the judge? Right. Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
You ready to move back to?
Sure. My colleagues don't need an introduction. Everybody knows those, but them, and we're glad to be here. Y'all can read. We hear different kinds of jurisdiction. We have civil cases with monetary amounts up to $25,000. We hear misdemeanor criminal cases to the guilt or innocence phase. Preliminary hearings only on felony cases, determine whether they should go on up to circuit court or not. We have domestic relations, divorce, child support, co-parenting, probate cases. Judge Gallegos takes the bulk of those. The domestic violence cases, Judge Hedrick takes the bulk of those. And we all do involuntary judicial mental health commitments. And I did 3 this morning. And we have the way our dockets are set up to try to work with the stakeholders that are involved. We spread the civil and the criminal and the domestic out in such a way that we're not overtaxing the stakeholders, the district attorney's office, the public defender's office, the clerk's office, to where we think we have a pretty good schedule where it minimizes the number of people we need to carry on court from the various different agencies. Our accomplishments, any monies that the General Sessions Court clerk generates is because of cases that we hear. Probation, those are the ones that they make the revenue from referrals and other things that we do. As kind of playing on what Mark said about probation. We require folks for community service that conditions either probation or perhaps they're getting even a better deal of dismissal of their case. They do probate, do some community service and pay court costs, will dismiss the case. Clerk and master, that's where the domestic relations and probate is filed. That generates that office's income. And probation, pretrial release, we believe, or we know, relieves the number of people that are in the jail, and therefore lessens their expense. Let's see. Goals, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing if y'all let us, and we enjoy what we do. We don't necessarily enjoy all the people we have to deal with, but we enjoy what we do. Let's see, what's the next thing here? As far as a budget, we're not requesting any additional funds in our operating line item. Some of the individual line items have gone up slightly. We had enough monies. We looked at some of the other line. We've transferred, a couple $1,000 here, $1,000. Not much. It's just, we're just moving just compared to the size of the business of this county. It's pennies that we're moving around. We're not asking for any more operational expenses. We're only asking that hopefully the county commission will see fit to raise salary and benefits for our judicial assistants who are here. They always sit in the back for some reason. Sharon Hunt is with Judge Gallegos, Cora Ramsey with Judge Hedrick, and Becky Swatsina with me. And they run the office. They're our gatekeepers, and this is our entire office in operation. And that's the only other thing we're hoping. Budget trends. Again, you can see no capital requests, operating expenses about flat as flat as it could be, and just a slight, raise in the salary and benefits. I guess that's all. Y'all got anything? Sure. Okay.
All right. Anybody questions for the judges? Go for it.
Usually, and I have witnessed such an efficiency in those offices, with the exception that they keep it freezing like over here. But I want to thank you for your service, and I want to thank you for your response, not only to me, but to a lot of other people who service to you. So thank you for that.
Thank you for letting us do what we do. We really enjoy it most of the time.
That's just the way life is.
It is.
Judge, thank y'all. All three of you. You are a great asset for this county, and I appreciate, and I know I'll speak for this whole committee and appreciate the job you all do and making this county a whole lot safer.
Well, we do what we can. We appreciate it. If y'all need something, just holler. We're here,
All righty.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. Thank you. We're ready now to go to the emergency communications.
Yeah.
Or say a little prayer. Say a little prayer. Yes, okay.
That doesn't hurt anything. All right. It's my privilege and pleasure to have been, or to be on the board of directors of the Emergency Communications District of Blount County. I've been a board member since the inception of this of the 911 bill, which it was passed. I'm pretty sure in '86 or in '88 there was a statewide referendum that asked each county, "Do you want to create a 911 board, committee, whatever, and that type of thing?" And it got the results that any politician would want. It got a 90% was for it, and 10% were against. And I don't know why the 10% were against, but I guess some folks are just against everything. But nevertheless, I've been the chair of the committee since 1990, and it's one of the most satisfying things I've ever been involved in my life. I'm very blessed that Bob Davis saw fit to put me on that board back in, whenever, 86, I guess it was, or 88. But, I'm gonna, if you don't, and everybody knows Jimmy Long here. If I don't know everybody, this is Susan Porter, our assistant director, and she's learning and doing a great job for us. She's been there since the place was built, just about.
Dang.
Glad you said that, Jerome.
But look how
makes you-
good she looked.
makes you feel good.
It hadn't done a thing to her. And with having said that, Jimmy's going to take over.
Oh, thank you, Judge.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Do my best.
Like I said, I'm the chair of the board. The board decides something. As the chair, I sign the checks and get out of the way. Okay. You got yours?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of the
Morning.
committee. Thank you for letting.
Keith, how you doing?
We're doing well. Thank you. Thank you for letting us come and see you this morning. I'll start off with the good news. We are not asking for an increase in our funding this year. Under the guidance of Judge Brewer and our board of directors, we feel like we try to be as thrifty with taxpayer funds as we can be, but yet provide the services needed and be there when you need us 24/7, 365. For those of you who might not know, I've completed what we do, and I won't read that. I'll let you do that if you haven't already, but I'll kind of summarize it for you. Basically, we dispatch for let's say 6.5 fire departments, because we have half a Greenback, and then our other volunteers and full-time fire departments. So, and 4 law enforcement agencies, and EMS is dispatched out of our facility. We don't actually do that. It's done by AMR employees, but we're there to support them. And it's a team effort every day. As you probably looked, and we can go to our next slide if y'all want to. Our 24-25, I don't know if I'm controlling that or not. You are. Okay. I don't know how to control. There we go. Whoop. There we are. Our 24-25 accomplishments. We're, of course, continuing to work toward building up our backup facility, which is in the basement of this courthouse. We have 6 positions down there that we've got built out, and that's in case we have a structural issue with our building. And the mayor's office and EMA has been gracious to work with us and guide us and give us advice and give us room to do all that. And our board has been wonderful, giving us the funds to do it. Just to give you an idea, we've got, like I said, 6 positions down there. We've got a couple more bells and whistles to put in to allow us to do our tones when we dispatch fire departments and some law enforcement. The district just spent $468,000 on 4 radio consoles, 3 to finish off what our console numbers are in our main building, and 1 down there, which will give us the ability to do the tones and to change, because when you dispatch for 7 fire departments, you don't need to have 7 mobile radios stacked up, because we have to listen all the time to all of them. And that console lets us do that and lets us give out the tone. So that's coming. Hopefully we will have our first full-blown evacuation exercise this fall and have most all the bells and whistles down there to make it work like it's supposed to. We're continuing our partnership that we started last year with our law enforcement agencies in a grant, which is you've probably already heard about and we'll hear more about from the sheriff's office most likely. But we are a partner in that, and it's added some workload, or will add some workload to our folks, and coordinating with the analysts that will monitor the camera system and doing all that. So that's going to cause us some adjustments that we'll have to make, but we'll be able to do that. Of course, had been fully staffed until 2-3 weeks ago. We lost 1 person, so we're 1 person down, starting our hiring process. We're staying engaged with emerging technologies, which means we're always looking for that next best thing that will help us serve the community. If you haven't seen our place, you need to come down and do that. You know, we've got, just to give you a quick example, we've got technologies that lets us see your camera, your phone and your camera without anybody knowing we're seeing it. If it's a 911 call where you need to hide or do something, we can hear and see what's going on. We've got technologies that are redundancies for our call location, and we maintain those, but they're expensive. We're getting ready to, like a good example, we're getting ready to renew our our annual maintenance agreement with Motorola and our radio recorders, and they're looking at $78,000-$80,000 a year for the maintenance contract. So all those things are just constant and they're expensive. So we're trying to maintain that. We've made some infrastructure improvements. Our data center or server room, if you better know it that way, that supports not only us, but public safety agencies around the county, as well as industry stuff, internet pop servers that send the internet signal to Northeast Tennessee that we contracted with. That air conditioner in there is 25 years old. It's broke down twice in the last 2 years. So we are in the process of spending $80-some thousand to replace it. It was brought over from the old place that was over at Aldi's, where Aldi's is now. So all those things we're trying to stay abreast of. Our goals for next year, and I think I can get it. Yeah, there it went. Our goals for 25-26, we are increasing our workload, and many people don't know this. If you're familiar with the National Crime Information Center, those are entries that need to be made when a person is wanted, when a person is missing. You get your weed eater stolen out of your outbuilding, well, you got a serial number or your gun stolen out of your car. All that has to be put in, and it goes through the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to the FBI. So all that requires a lot of work. And let me flip forward a slide here or two. I'll come back. Our NCIC transactions have gone up. Of course, the sheriff's office with volume are the most, but to clarify that for you, the sheriff's office NCIC transactions are not as lengthy as the other agencies. The reason that is all the entries and modifications and validations and removals for the sheriff's office happen at the sheriff's office. They're the ones that type in their serial numbers and add all that stuff. And we just do that 77,000 we've done over the radio with deputies throughout the year. Well, if you look at all the other agencies, those are the ones that kind of cause us issues because we do all the entries, modifications, removals, validations for all the other agencies. For example, Alcoa had 40 laptops stolen from a school. It took our NCIC person a whole day to get those entered because you have to enter the serial number for the laptop and the serial number for the battery. So that's causing us some issues. So next year, one of our goals is to bring on an extra person to do just that. That'll be their function. Completing our backup facility, which I've already talked about, and addition of one administrative person to help with training and accreditation, as that's become more cumbersome and added some more responsibilities as well. Our shop has traditionally been, go back to the previous. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Your Honor. Our shop has traditionally been an additional duty shop. No one person, especially on the administrative side, which there's only 6 of us, including me and our IT manager. Well, not even 6 of us. There's really just 4 of us because the other 2 I was counting were supervisors in the dispatch center. It's been an additional duty. You know, everybody don't do just one thing. We've all got extra things we do, which hurts our quality and hurts some of our quality assurance. Every dispatcher has to have a certain percentage of their calls listened to. We're not quite meeting the industry standard because we don't have enough time. Each one of those calls, if it's a 20-minute 911 call where someone has hidden a closet because their house, they feel like their house is being broken into, it takes them 20 minutes to listen to it, plus another 15 or 20 to actually do the QA evaluation, quality assurance evaluation. So everybody's had additional duties. And what we're trying to do now with the growth of our county and with the growth of our responsibilities is to try to break some of that out and handle it in a more professional way and meet those industry standards. So that's our goal. Abandoned calls, I want to hit on those really quick. Abandoned calls are basically 911 calls that don't get answered. And I'll give you a quick example. If you have one wreck on Alcoa Highway, how many 911 calls we think we get on that? At least 15. Because everybody that sees it calls, and we want them to. But I've got staffing of 6 people on day shifts, so 9 of those won't get answered. And maybe more than that, if there's something going on over in the Greenbelt, or there's another wreck happening somewhere else. And those are, every 911 center has, because they happen immediately, all at once. So, but the only thing to mitigate that is people in the seats. And we know we can't do away with all of them. It's an industry issue. And we have national protocols we use when we have one of those, call them back, and we send them a text as well to make sure everything is good and contact is made if at all possible. But that has to be a constant concern for us because we definitely want to mitigate those numbers. Real quick, our computer-aided dispatch we've not seen a big increase. We had a little bit of a decrease from last year. But again, it's not just the calls that we put in the CAD. Okay? With all these other responsibilities and maintaining the administrative side as well as the dispatch side 24/7, 365, it's a lot to multitask and do because we get over 200,000 phone calls a year, or roughly 200,000 up and down on an average, but only 75 or so thousand of those are 911 calls. Well, another 80,000 are going to be non-emergency calls. And in our shop, the same person's answering both lines. So the other part that makes up the 200,000 are outgoing calls. And what that is when we have to call for record service, parents of juveniles that are out at 3 a.m. doing things they shouldn't be doing, coordination between agencies. So all this is done in large part by 6 people during the day and 5 people at night. So that's what we're looking at. So while we did not ask for an increase this year, and I want to say also that we're not just counting on you all or on our county to provide that. We're working diligently with the other 911 districts, the other 99 districts across the state to get increases through our surcharge and trying to work together so that we can take care of our community. But in the coming year or two, we are going to need to ask for additional funds just to keep up. So I guess this year is more giving you a status check, but it's kind of like if you need the dough before you make your biscuits. I'm needing dough this year so I can make the biscuits next year maybe, right? So we want you to know we're there, we're thriving, but we are going to be in need of some additional funds in the coming year or two. And I think that's covered everything. If y'all have.
Backup center.
Oh, and I spoke about the backup center already.
You have a slide on it?
But I do, yes. Let me show you what we got. There we go. That's downstairs. So that's our backup center where we can work 6 dispatchers simultaneously with what we have over at our agency and our main building, but we can also rely on it to work if something's wrong with the main building. And there's going to be some more money we're going to have to put into that funds because we need some redundancies there like we have over at the other place. But it's workable now, and within hopefully by the end of the year, most of all the bells and whistles, minus some of the redundancy, will be there. So we can continue no matter hopefully what happens.
On that note too, Jimmy, the server, we also have, you all have a server, but we also have another server here. Your server can back us up and our server can back you up, which is, that's pretty out of the box thinking that when we
Yes, sir, it
did that,
is.
because it's and our IT and has worked good with Wayne, and that's if everything just goes really bad down there, everything can come back to our server. They can set up right here and never miss a beat, really.
Amen. Yes, sir.
That's going to be pretty neat right there.
It is. And that's something that's important to us. It's like we always say it at work, we don't need to just have one thing that does something. If it's critical in providing resources to the community, we need to have 2 ways of doing it. And those 2 ways are really expensive. So we're doing our best to manage the funds wisely. Like I said, through the guidance of Judge Brewer and the rest of the board, they've been very good about thinking forward and encouraging us and lifting us up and providing what we can provide within our means to do the most and the best for the Blount County community. So we appreciate y'all and thank you for giving us the time this morning.
I need to make 2 comments. I'm going to wager that of the 95 counties in this state, 80 of them doesn't have their primary facility that's anywhere close to what our backup facility is. I'm going to tell you that. And then when we are CALEA certified back when the sheriffs and the fire departments wanted to really elite, we were one of the first communication centers to obtain CALIA certification in the state. And we've maintained that since what,
Yeah, 80
no, it's,
2009. Yeah.
Okay, so, we're considered one of the best of the best. So, in the nation, or well, it's worldwide, actually.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, when we received our last accreditation, we were we were the only one at the Chicago conference who got it with excellence.
Yeah.
And we don't blow our horn, but that's just a fact. And we want to maintain that standard. And to do that, we've got to continue to build out our technology, to keep up with what's going on in the world, and to better serve our community. So,
Like I said, the board makes a decision. I sign the checks and I get out of the way. I mean, let them do it.
Well,
Thank you.
CALIA, and it says a lot for you, for what you all do in your organization. Because the higher you, CALIA is a great thing.
Well, you know about it, being
It is.
fire chief.
But the higher you score, the better you serve your community.
amen.
And in the business you're in, the better you serve your community, the more people's lives you save and the better you make their lives for them in the worst situations of their lives. So, I mean, to be as high as you all are rated, CALIA, that's just, all that does is just make this community a safer place for everybody to live. So.
Yes, sir. That's our goal.
Thank
And we had we have a meeting every other month, and we don't only save lives. Yesterday, our folks were, a mama duck had gotten too close to where one of our drain lines was, and their babies fell in, and our admin people were out there scooping up babies, saving the babies for the mama duck.
We got all 5 of them out, Mayor.
I'm serious. That's what we do.
Has anybody got any questions? Anything else for Jimmy? Go ahead.
Or have you already taken a look at, your succession plan? Do you have anybody who may be retiring that you might also want to?
Yes, ma'am. That's one reason our deputy director is here today. She's learning the ropes for the next 3 years, should I decide to
And
retire.
I'm not letting him retire, so that's good.
And we have, what am I trying to think of? Plans for our QA person to retire, and we're planning to get somebody in that position because that's a senior position and it goes to the quality of our dispatch services. So we've already got a plan to announce that in the coming months so that they can spend like a year going a couple days a week in and out of her office so that they learn the process. You know, so we're constantly thinking about that. We've got one dispatcher who just retired, and we've got one that'll be on the floor that'll be retiring in the next 18 months. So we're constantly thinking about that. And as far as new employees, yeah, when retire, the funds are there for that. So when they retire, we backfill. I'm not sure I'm understanding the question.
So Brian, I'm asking is in their budget request, have they considered enough money so that they won't continually be needing to do research on, you know, how much that's gonna be, when it needs to go into the budget, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, if I understand, it's already built into their current budget process.
That's
It's
correct.
their-
And you need to understand that you are not the only revenue source. County's not the only, the city of Maryville, city of Alcoa, the surcharge on your phone bill, and the state actually, we get revenues from all those sources.
I'm
Okay?
sorry, I wasn't understanding the question.
So,
I apologize.
Um,
But yeah, and it actually, and I don't mean to say this, I mean, it hurts us experience wise. Okay. But if I've got a dispatcher that's been there 25 years, it's retiring, that's on the top step of the pay scale. When they retire, it actually saves me money because when I hire one in new, it puts them on the first step of the scale. So, you know, you hate to see them go. It's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. You lose all that experience and you got to train somebody new, but it does help the budget a little bit.
but it's just unusual for us to have somebody who have it already included. Normally, that's not the way it works.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we're glad to be unusual in that way. Thank you. We try to think ahead.
All right, anything else? Seeing none, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you all.
presentation.
Have a good afternoon.
Chief, if you would just push the button.
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, we'll reconvene the Budget Committee workshop. And first up will be the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Committee. We come to you again after many weeks of internal deliberation in our department and with the department heads. As we've done this for the last several years, you know how we operate. We kind of create our own internal budget. And just want to go through a couple of slides before I introduce the sheriff and he can talk about some of our goals and objectives and some of the accomplishments we've made with your assistance and the budget committee and some of what we want to do going forward. As you know, there's our org chart. Probably most of you are familiar with it. All of the different functions that we have in the sheriff's office. We have a mission statement that defines what we do at the sheriff's office. Obviously, this is somewhat redundant to you all. You've seen it every year, but felt like it's important to put it in the slides as well. One of the things, the changes or updates to the 2024-25 budget. Like I said before, we were able to come together and figure out what we needed and the different aspects of the increase in variations in costs and travel vehicles and associated with outfitting vehicles, ammunition, uniforms. We are in our final year of our VCIF grant. I know the mayor was able to come Tuesday to the elected officials meeting and see what we've been able to do with the ROC, the Real-Time Operations Center. That's one of the requests that we will have in this budget to help offset some funding there from this body. It is a collaborative effort between Alcoa Maryville, Blount County Sheriff's Office, and 911. And as you know, this year in May of 2025, we're going to be going to Police Week to honor and see Greg's name put on the police memorial wall in DC. So if you just remember that and in May, and just his family and all the officers, men and women, as we do that. Like I said, we're going to continue to monitor, and we need an additional person for the ROC. Can't multitask. We need an appropriation, but 75% of this appropriation is going to be offset by the three other agencies. Our request is around 50,000 and some change. And that's for personnel and then some expenses that go along with software and other things there. We're asking, it's already appropriated, the 2555 for corrections. It's just not been implemented. Brian and I have been working with the actuarial study of CBIZ to see the impact on how that would affect the county benefits. We just hadn't got to a conclusion on that. We'll, I'm sure in the next month or so have a final on that. But if we're not unable to implement that in this fiscal year, we would ask that appropriation you did last year would be rolled forward to 25-26 for that as well.
Jeff, can I interrupt you just a second?
Yes, sir.
We have done the actuarial on that for the corrections.
Yes, sir.
And I've talked with some of the members of the budget committee, and I think we're ready. Rather than putting this on for this year, for the coming year, if you would, y'all go ahead and put a resolution together and bring it to us in next month's budget, and we'll get it. I think we've got the votes to pass that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We'll work with Rod and Carrie to figure out the placeholder of where the appropriation was and how we go forward with that. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
We're also going to continue to ask for additions in the EMR and the EMT program. I know you all are well aware of that, funded the mayor and the sheriff had a vision and funded that many years ago. It's been a great success and we're continued to grow that program, wanting to grow that program, and the sheriff will speak more of that in just a minute. And then we have several capital items. I know they're part of the slide. So when I go through the budget part of that, I'm going to kind of go through that quickly. And if anybody has any questions about any specific item, that's fine. Obviously, we feel there's a need there. And if the budget committee has an appetite to fund any of those, we appreciate it. But if they're not funded now, we would ask that they be placed on the capital items list for future considerations if funds do come available. Just some budget trends that y'all have in your packet from the sheriff's budget to corrections. Sorry, Justin said it was sensitive. Juvenile services. And then I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Barong, and he's going to talk about what we've accomplished in 24-25 and some of our goals for 25-26. Thank you all.
I'm saving this for I won't be chomping on the mic. And I say this this is my 36th budget. I want to, the way you all do it is what a blessing to come up here and get a chance to tell you what we've done and what we want to do and what we want to accomplish in the future. And with that, the Real Crime Center, I think, I don't know how many of y'all have been down there, but I would like to take a field trip to show around dispatch, and the mayor and the other officials came down to office holders meeting this week, and I think it'd be very beneficial that we get the training facility. That's really, it's already been and not fully up and running, been very, very effective on a number of cases that we have, and we would like to show that off. And one being the triple homicide that comes to mind that recently happened. We were able to track that person throughout the area. We tracked him into a local business with bloody boots on, buying new clothes. So that made that case develop in a lot of it, other than hard work, investigative work, but that was the key to the lock, really. Last year, you gave us 5 cops grants. Thank you. Our calls for service has gone down some, a little bit, or at least our contact with the civilians. That's due to the nature of the crime. We're not out there doing officer initiated stuff as much, but we have 3 and 4 units tied up on one call for a longer period of time. And some of y'all get the admin text, and you see the volatility we deal with the different things. The 5 cops grants was really a blessing to us, and thank you for accepting that. The carbine rifle and replacements, AEDs, we continue to support the employees on the road through officer safety, and then AEDs through the great program that we won national and state awards for, being at least recognized for the AMRs that's out on the road. The jail locks we funded last year, that's always a key thing in the corrections, is have good functioning locks, and locks we didn't, and now we do. EMR and MNTs, again, what a blessing that has been to the citizens of this community. I get more compliments on that than probably anything we do from citizens that has lost a relative or a significant other, but they have seen us in a timely manner, working that person and doing the best we can in a timely manner. So that is just, that's a game changer. Everybody in the state that I talk to wants to do that. We're still the only one that I know of, not in the state, in America, basically, that has done that. So Mayor, thanks for that idea and the support through that program, and ask the community to grow and more people on the road. And we would like to continue to grow that with the benefit we have proven and seen. We started with a new inmate medical vendor, Turnkey Health. To this point, they're showing productive. They're saving us money. At least they're looking to get some discounts that we were not getting, and hopefully that will continue to be productive. I have another one. Which way? That one. How do you work that thing? Okay. Some of our goals for 25-26: continue the jail lock replacement fund. Continue to grow our inmate program assistance with reentry, to help with recidivism, try to eliminate some of that because it still continues to be very high. Continue to find savings related to inmate medical, enhance officer training and safety. The training center updates, a lot of you have been down through that, but that's a blessing for a county our size to have that, to be able to train our own. I always like to say, from Mountain City to Memphis, the laws are the same. They don't change from each region, but how we deal with the citizens and how we disperse those laws does change. And the training academy has been very, very beneficial. And the biggest thing that I get sued, and I got sued, the trend was in the late 90s, mid 90s, that every time I got sued and continue to, is how they were trained. And that's one of the reasons I started this academy. We sent them to Davidson County or the regional law enforcement academy, and I couldn't answer that question. So we know what we need to, how we need to train. And the good thing about it, we have other agencies come in, we charge them to come through that. And again, the benefit from there, whether it be Maryville, Alcor, or these other smaller counties, when we go into their county or they come into ours to render aid, they're trained, or most of their people are trained just like us, but we train them. So that's a great update, a benefit to us. We started with 5 acres, and now we're on 50 acres. We continue to enhance that. You'll see us come up with internal money, ask for transfers to build a shoot house. That's money internally that through the drug fund and revenues we have feeding that, and we ask for that transfer in the future. One thing key part of that we are missing is a dormitory space, a gymnasium, things of that nature. I would not asking, but I would like for y'all to consider to know that that's on. We need that. We have a day academy. We need some outside agencies. We need air people to spend a few weeks there and have, with inclement weather, have a gymnasium, stuff like that. And that's will be a very expensive component, but it is one of the next components we have to continue to make progress and grow that training academy. And the benefits through litigation issues has already been a huge savings. Enhance officer training and safety. The trainer has that provides citizens with a safe place to work, live, and play. That's been our philosophy from day one. I think we've done that. East Tennessee is safer than most areas, and I think Blount County is safer than most, and that is attributed to the sheriff's office and other city agencies, and mainly to each and every one of you on the budget committee and the commission. Safety in our schools, we continue the SRO grant. When the governor came in and picked those up, we're trying to get a couple more through the state. I talked to Commissioner of Safety, and hopefully he will be able to fund us for 1 or 2 more at no cost to the community. So we want to continue that, and we all see the impact on that every single day. Additional corrections of bridge. Mayor, thank you. You made my day right now. I can sit down here and be quiet because that's something we fought for and wanted, and they deserve it and they need it. And I want to say you and the budget committee that has talked, I'm about to get emotional on that now because that's a great thing. It enhances us retaining and retention of and attraction of employees. That's big. There's a few sheriff's offices in the state of Tennessee that has that already. And I've talked to their sheriffs, and it has been a very positive benefit to their operation. Additional 5 new EMRs this year. We usually get 10 or ask for 10. And have got 10. We would like to add, that'd be 5, we'd be 10 more, but 5 would go up to the EMTs. And we have a new class. We have some vacancies in it right now, but the class is starting Wednesday. Last week of April, we'll have all those people certified. So we'll be completely full going into this next year within by March. And additional funds to cover BCSO's portion to continue to rock. Chief French talked about that. Real-time operations center collaboration between BMH, BCSO, Maryville Police, Alcoa, and the 911 center. Funds 25% of the director's salary, benefits software, and camera. That system, again, I really would like to highlight and spotlight that with you all one day. We went to send a team to Naples, Florida. Their crime is basically solved. About every crime they've got, they're able to solve it. It's amazing how that system works and the potential it has if we continue to grow on it. And we got the grant for that, about 1.6 or 7 million, I think, Brian, a couple of years ago. And that was a good seed money start. Now we just got to continue since we got the core built. Disconnect the current patrol deputy rate of 5525, state law passed 22 is offering the benefits. That's your job, John.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So these next few slides are just the additional requests. I'm just going to flip through them, and if anybody has any questions or I'm not going to sit there and read the slide to you. You can kind of see the additional for the 5 EMR, 5 EMTs. And then the additional capital request that we have in the packet. The vehicle request, the addition there, and then the impact in the operation of the current. 2 additional motorcycles. Two additional canines. We're trying every year as our canines get older, replace two a year.
Chief, on the canines.
Yes, sir.
We've been pretty fortunate on getting donations on that, on some of our canines.
Yes, sir.
Have we actually ever had to buy our own canines, or have they always been donated?
No, sir. We've been very fortunate in that aspect, but we have in the past couple of years, you all have appropriated some money for us to replace canines from this committee. Yes, sir. Then you have the request for the drones, horse trailer. It's currently 21 years old. Our dive truck, which you know is our B-Sort team that's made up of fire departments, rescue squad, and BCSO employees. Very integral part of our agency and this community and cities and counties alike. And this is a request that we would like to put in. Our current vehicle is 17 years old. Gun accessories, this would be for additional or new weaponry that we would need to change out our accessories on our current weapons. Breaching tools, tech equipment be utilized by our SWAT team. Sniper equipment, which is also part of our SWAT team. And then general specialized team request equipment. Night vision. Our battery backup for corrections. And 10 AEDs. This is a reoccurring expense that we try to replace our old AEDs with our EMRs and EMTs that we're going to be adding. Currently, we have 72 EMRs/EMTs, and with the request of an additional 10, 5, and 5, that would make us 82. Sheriff said, continue to upgrade the jail locks, and then our virtual training system. And then as the sheriff spoke of, our training building request, which, as he mentioned, we will in the near future send a budget request through drug fund to start the process of a long range plan or a master plan for that as well. Thank you all. If you have any questions, we have, as before, we have all the experts in each function. If you have any questions for them or the sheriff, obviously, or myself, would be happy to answer any of those questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Chief French? just a comment, after going through the real-time center last week or this week, we really need to get our commissioners in that room to see what's going on, because I don't think anyone, I promise you, the public has no idea.
Yes, sir.
Or most people have no idea what that technology is and what that provides for you all, for law enforcement. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, there's some way, and if Amy needs to, however y'all want to do this.
Yeah, you let us
I'd like
know.
to get them in there but by middle of April.
Yes,
at
sir.
least before we start the budget on this, okay?
Wanted to wait till the weather broke, so other things to show you too, so now's time, and thank you.
Yeah, that's very.
And we can do it in multiple dates if people, I mean.
Yeah, we'll probably have to do that.
Yes, sir.
Jeff.
And we'll actually have folks on site that can actually run the system similar to what you saw, Mayor, and have some real live examples of how that has worked, and to the point that we're not even operational, but it's still a great tool for us right now.
Pretty amazing, right?
Yes, sir.
Amazing. Anything else? Okay, thank you all.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
committee.